Ladies and gentlemen, everybody all around the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Watchable with me, Jean-Louis. Make some noise. Yes, sir. Clap it up. Get excited. Wherever you are, we are back with another action-packed episode for you today, covering the world of boxing and beyond. As we got so much to cover on this very highly anticipated, incredibly exciting week of sports. Again, it's Thursday, ending out the week strong with another phenomenal show. We got Tank that we need to talk about. We got, again, more drama in the world of Tank and Lamont Roach. More fights have been announced, like with Inoue and others. 2 fights happening this year for Inoue, and one of the bigger shakeups in the world of the boxing regime, as Dana White, yes, that Dana White, has now joined the foyer into the boxing world and is now set to potentially shake up the landscape even further with Turki, Al-Sheikh. All that and more is going to be talked about right here on this show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And please, again, leave a like on the stream. Comment your thoughts and opinions to everything that we got going on right now on the show. Subscribe to the channel and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. We are indeed growing strong, living long, and having ourselves a phenomenal time right here on and everything that we do. And oh, lo and behold, didn't I tell you that I was going to keep on updating this show left, right, and center? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be a little more professional. We're going to look a little more upkeep and neat. We're going to look like we got something going on. Let's take and see how we got with the new regime when it comes to, the updates to the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, well, wait, hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, everybody around the world. Look at the new and improved version of the Watch Report with me, Jean-Louis. Everybody, look at it. Ain't it great? Ain't it grand? Don't it just look so nice? Oh, yes, and it took me a good amount of time to get this done. But yes, Steve, yes, sir. Look at what we got right here. Yeah, we got cards, we got lower thirds, we got socials, we got all the stuff going around that you normally see on a normal professional quote unquote show. And we are a professional show, doggone it. What's up, brother? How you doing? No, let me see if I got the name right. I think it's Stir One Up. I'm gonna say stir enough. I would say show enough, but I'll say stir enough. Excuse me. I'm saying the moment. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in on to the show. Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's swanky, ain't it? It's clean, ain't it? Yes, sir. Oh, yes, indeed. I tried to get this by the time we got the tank fight going, but lo and behold, I couldn't get everything right. But now we got the scrolling stuff. We got the cards. We got the lower third. We got the logo. We got it all. Oh, yeah. We are living large. And now this is all thanks to you and your support in making this whole thing entirely possible. But again, all that self-proclamation out the way, we still growing because of you and all of your support. Oh, and please listen to us on every podcasting platform. I almost forgot to say Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast you listen to, we're available there too, so you can come in and join in on the fun and listen wherever you go. Rate us 5 stars there, and also right here, you can go back on YouTube and listen every time that you wish. Because we are the hottest show in all the globe, and you don't want to miss what we got going on. But again, all that stuff is out there. Well, we got to talk about the world of boxing, and since we're talking about boxing, it is time to step into the ring. Yeah, buddy, that's right. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round 1 of this show going underway as we have some further developments in the world of Gervonta Tank Davis. And now we have not a lawsuit, but a cause for alarm because somebody might get their decision overturned. Yes, indeed. As we now know, the whole controversial decision between Tank and Lamont Roach, with Lamont Roach essentially fighting his way to a draw in many people's eyes, and mine included, should have fought his way to a victory over the likes of Tank Davis, but it was called a draw. A very controversial decision, and now there is a cause to say it might get overturned. Yes, indeed. Now, it's either, there's 2 options. Number 1, it gets overturned into a straight up loss, like a straight up regular loss. If the knockdown gets deemed worthy. Now, all this is being essentially put into motion because Lamont Roach and his crew have essentially, officially, as we can see right here, right now, as I pull up the, hold on, wait a minute. As I pull up the our picture-in-picture real quick, our so-called insight into the ethos of the of the of the internet world. That means, wait, hold on, wait, we here. Give me 1 second. Gotta make sure I click everything correctly. And there we go. Yeah, as you can see right here, Lamont Roach's lawyer has now sent a letter to New York State Athletic Commission requesting they overturn the result of the Gervonta Davis fight and declared Roach the official winner. Now, this is all actually happening. This is the catalyst for what we could see take place when it comes to this whole decision being overturned. Now, also understand the WBA themselves put out their own statement on their website saying essentially that they felt that it was justified, saying that they felt, the right decision was called and it was supposed to be the Tank won. Or a draw, not Tank won, a draw was justified, and they understand the perspective of Steve Willis and from his junction. In fact, let me pull up the quote real quick so I can show you exactly what verbatim they had said in terms of on their website, because it actually was indeed very eye-opening and very interesting, to say the least, at least from my perspective. But per the Ring Magazine, again, right now, their Twitter and their official website, they said, from our perspective, Willis's decision, referee Steve Willis' decision, was not unreasonable and unjustified. He ruled in real time that Davis had not been struck by a punch beforehand, and again, excuse me, trying to make sure I pull this up so you all can read alongside, and he ruled in real time that Tank had not been struck by a punch before going down, and therefore no knockdown should be recorded. Now, that was on their official website. But then another twist in this whole saga took place as that same situation that same call got redacted. Yes, it did. There we go. All of a sudden, I got taken away. All of a sudden, that got redacted, and a statement by the WBA president himself said, nah, that opinion was only the opinion of one specific journalist within our umbrella. That does not hold the whole identity for the entirety of this belt commission. What's his name? I got it written down. President Mendoza of WBA himself said, I believe that knockdown should have been knocked down in favor, or should have been counted in favor of Lamont Roach. And so this is a slippery slope. Now, this is no longer just a situation where this draw is just able to stand. There is clear evidence. There was quote-unquote technical issues during that fight that didn't allow this to be reviewed properly. Now, we're living in a situation where, hey, if they do go back and view this, and they deem it worthy of, there was a egregious missed call that was, again, unjustifiable when looking back. No, something did indeed land, and he did indeed go down. Even if he wasn't hurt, it should have been a knockdown. That could be the thing that turned this fight over in his favor. And all of a sudden now it could go from 30-0 or 30-0-1, just straight up 30-1 outright. And if that does happen, oh boy, people, it's going to be a major shakeup. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all goes about. But also understand, that isn't the only thing that can happen. This fight could also get turned into a no contest. Yeah. Oh yeah, it can. It can. And we got some problems. Hey, look at if that does happen. We got some problems if that takes place. But you have to understand, he can get DQ'd because regardless of whether the knockdown was scored or not, this brother went to his corner on his own and got help. What was that help? The help was when his corner stepped onto the apron and wiped down Tank's face to get whatever grease, whatever gel, whatever the world he said had gotten into his eye, get that out of his eye so we could go through and continue around. You cannot do that. That is not me. That's not me making the rules. That's not me making the rules. That's the rules themselves. You cannot get help from your corner in between the rounds unless the referee pushes you to the corner, whether it's for a malfunction, whether it's for a wardrobe malfunction, others, to get them to fix that up per referee's words. But outside of that, brother, no, you got to fight through it. You can't go back. You can't go and get any sort of physical help outside of via what was given and directed by the referee and or until you get to your corner or coaching from when they are talking. But that's it during the round. And again, we've seen it with Ali in other boxes before. Something got in their eyes, something got hurt, something got broken. Marshall Ali tore his shoulder or dislocated his shoulder. Nico Ali Welch, dislocated his shoulder out of his socket. He couldn't go to his corner and say, help me popping in. He had to fight through the round. Ali, stuff in his eye, jaw broken, whatever the case may be, had to fight through the round. Stuff in his eye from Sonny Liston, jaw broken against Ken Norton. Mayweather, when he hurt his hand, same thing. This is a situation where this happens. This is not. So there is a cause, if they do go back and look at this, that we could see actually Tank get disqualified because of the help inside of the ring, the physical help during the round that wasn't given permission by the referee. When they wipe down his face, you can't do that. By rule, you cannot do that. And so they could go back and say this is disqualified. So there's a lot of stuff that can go through when it comes to what can happen with this show as a whole. And my gosh, if this does take place, you want to talk about some real shoot. I mean, that would be insane. That would be incredible. That would be like, oh my gosh. But the question is, will the rule of law hold up upon further review, or will it indeed get laid and let slide? But let's see what you all have to say in the chat below, because we got a lot of people. Oh, we got a bunch of people coming through up here. Hold on, wait a minute. Ho. We got a lot coming up through here. Wait a minute. Let me read through real quick. There we go. Let's Rich Porco, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by on the show today. What do you have to say on the matter? I think because of referee's discretion, nothing will happen, but I wish something would. This taking the knee business in the ring sets a bad precedent. It indeed does. And again, other people may use other instances of people taking knees to try to hold it against. Oh, they let it happen in others. People try to use Lamont Roach also going down to one knee in this fight as a reason for see, Lamont did it too and he didn't get called, so why are you trying to get it on tape? We have seen multiple instances where people take a knee in the clinch or they get shoved down, not because of a punch, but because of physical pushing. That's what. Like, shoot. Wasn't there, when Tyson Fury was leaning on the likes of, was it Wilder or was it Usyk? One of his older past fights. Instead of trying to carry that weight, they just took a knee in the clinch to make the ref break it. We've seen that happen before. We've seen Tank himself get, I believe it was against the fight with Rolly Romero. He took a knee, or quote unquote, took a knee in that fight because Rolly Romero shoved him down. When Tank was bouncing off the ropes to evade one of his shots, feet got tangled up, tried to go and clinch Romero, but lost his balance. Romero pushes him down and he takes a knee. But that wasn't an actual knee. That was, you got a punch that wasn't a knockdown. Because it wasn't a knockdown. Nor was it a legitimate, like, oh, I'm willingly taking a knee. No, you, like, a completely different situation. Completely different situation. But that's why it wasn't called in those instances. This was a instance where it should have been called. And the fact that it wasn't is egregious. And it's bad because, not just because of a bad decision, because of how high profile this fight was from the standpoint of a monumental upset that likes of which the people did not expect in the slightest took place, and a good brother got robbed of something that should be his. That's why. That's the biggest problem with all of it. And so, Floyd hurt his hand against Hernandez and took a knee. The referee counted it as knock. We brought that up. Shoot, if you might not have been here last show, but we brought that up as well on this very show, talking about, hey, we've seen knockdowns called before in instances where they shouldn't have. Genuine. And you have a better argument. And granted, he landed a punch. His hand touched the canvas, called it a knockdown. You have a better argument saying that shouldn't have been a knockdown because he himself hit his opponent and then touched the canvas with his glove out of pain, instead of this situation where instead of this situation where Tank actually got caught with the shot. He wasn't the one landing it and going down. He got caught with the shot and then went down willingly, but still went down. Wasn't hurt, but still went down. This we've gone through as many examples as we can. Everything to anybody trying to say that this was not a justifiable knockdown is ludicrous. It is ridiculous. There is no clearer indication that this could have been a genuine situation where, because of Tank's status, like I said on Tuesday, that's what saved his ability to get this draw in this fight and not get called a knockdown. I have never seen a referee genuinely stop his count in order to continue said, "Oh, are you okay?" I've never seen it. After the round, they go through and say, "Hey, don't count that knockdown. That shouldn't have been counted. I was wrong." Whatever the case may be. I've seen that before. I haven't seen this in the middle of a count. Then you just stop. No, that's the problem. It's a major problem. If Tank is allowed to take a knee, every fighter should. That's, again, bad precedent. No question about it. Lots of guys like Inoue fought with a broken hand or broken orbital bone. Al-Sheikh fought with a broken jaw. Imagine they took a knee to gain their composure. Again, it would have been called a knockdown if it was in the same situation. Or even on their own. Even on their own without a punch being landed. They just willingly took a knee outright. That is a knockdown per the rule. Let alone if a punch lands and then you take a knee. Directly, yeah. It really does set a bad thing. How did you score the fight with Tank and Roach? I scored it 7-5. And if I scored it 7-5, Lamont Roach. And if it was the knockdown, it would have been at least adding one more point. 8-5. Yeah, absolutely. Or whatever that number would be. Excuse me if I got my scoring a little bit off. But either way, I had Roach 7-5. And with that knockdown, should have even further secured. Because he won the last 8 rounds of that fight. He won the first 2. Then lost rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But then rounds 8 through 12, Roach took it. Roach took it to him. Roach landed better shots. Roach landed in between Tank's big shots. Roach landed more damaging punches on a consistent basis. Roach was able to match whatever Tank was landing, punch for punch, and relatively severity versus severity, and outlanded Tank outright. Genuine. And so, no, this was a outright loss. This should have been an outright loss. That knockdown should have solidified it all the more. He did get beat. There is no question. He did get beat. This is just like Castillo. Castillo versus Mayweather. Castillo beat Mayweather the first time. No question. Mayweather whooped him the second time. But he still beat him. There's no question. There's no issue about that. He got beat. Point blank. Period. Done. Got beat. Lost. Shoot, I think he might have lost more rounds than Tank did in this fight. It comprehensively was outclassed. Second fight went and whooped Castillo. So I'm not saying Tank can't win the second fight. No, because Tank is still Tank. But we're not going to sit here and say that, oh, it's just a bad situation. Oh, blase, he'll never be able to, Lamont Roach owns Tank. We ain't going down that road. We know what Tank can do and what he is, but we're not going to sit here and say, that this instance wasn't indeed a robbery. Roach does not deserve a second fight because he does. And we're not going to say that this is some situation where Tank has nothing to prove, because he's got a lot to prove now. Oh, he's got more than ever to prove now. We touched on that on the last show. We're going to briefly talk about it again here in a little more calm demeanor than I was on the last show. But I went over 5 hours last show because I was so hot and upset, mad over this whole situation. 5 hours nonstop talking. So interacting with you just like we do now. Not nearly with the setup that we got now, but like I was livid. Now I'm calmed down a little bit. I can speak a little more level-headedly now than I was on the last. I was going in, justifiably so, and I still hold a lot of those same sentiments. But with time to think, now we can discuss a little more. I forgot to put the title card up. Dang it. I was so excited for what we had. I didn't get to show y'all that we can transition and do different stuff with the top. Dang it. I messed up. This is supposed to be perfect. But regardless of which, see, we can go and flip through different topics on the show. Stay on topic and then go through all the stuff. Dang it. Oh my gosh. I was supposed to go through and be like, ooh, first topic of the day. And then we do the card and we do all that stuff. And it's, oh well, you get the picture. We're trying to be as professional as we can. But regardless of which, we are looking and we're saying tanks, one, just to recap, now that we got the title card up here. now that we got the actual thing up here. One, Tank lost his fight. Two, Roach deserves a rematch. Three, this can get overturned, either to a loss or to a disqualification. Either way, the only route is a negative route for Tank on his resume. In this, even if it just stays the same, it's still a bad route because now it's a draw. It shouldn't be, and it's going to be a draw that should have been the other way. So scrutiny is going to come either way on the side of Tank from everybody, both fans and detractors. And when this fight happens again, because it's going to happen again, this is going to be it's going to be box office, and two, this is going to be or should be the start of Tank fighting now without any breaks. Without anything holding him back. Because you have to understand, this was the very situation that Tank himself had said he was afraid of. He said himself, his pride can't take losing. Oh, and I almost missed it. You were saying, yeah, I personally had Roach 7-5. If you had the knockdown, I have Roach easy. See, okay, so we're on the same page. Okay, understand. But again, Rich Porco, and anybody else coming through, appreciate you coming in on the show. Really do. I'm really excited. Again, now that we got this new stuff, we should look like we on ESPN, don't we? You're doggone right, yeah. You might forget paying cable, brother. You got me right here for ticker and all on the bottom of the screen. But regardless of which, it was surprising to see. It was surprising to see Roach, the one coming forward and putting Tank on the back foot. That was one of the biggest things. And mind you, that's one of the biggest things about Tank. When we look at from his perspective, how to beat the likes of Tank. You cannot go back. Isak Cruz had his best success because he was able to come forward against Tank with that hard head of his and use his power to make Tank threatening. Tank is set against Rolly Romero. Though Rolly Romero is not a great fighter, is a bum in the perspective of the elites of the boxing world within his weight class. He is a bum in that regard, but he is a hard opponent to beat. He has lost every single championship level fight that he has been in and gotten knocked out. All of them in dominating fashion. And he would have gotten knocked out against Barrosos. And again, Barrosos would have been the champion if, in fact, Tony Weeks didn't do that stupid, ignorant, quick stoppage when Barrosos hadn't even had a shot landed on him. It was preposterous. But regardless of which, he is a bum in the elites of boxing. But he's a good fighter for everybody else. But there is a steep drop-off that he's brought in to get beat, like he is against Ryan Garcia right now. He's brought in. Not just because he is an exciting, powerful fighter, but he's brought in to get beat. Because he'll sell the fight and he'll get knocked out and everybody will see, oh, wow. But he was able to have some success against Tank because he was coming forward. And he had power to put Tank in some level of respectable position. Lamont Roach did that same thing. Not saying Lamont Roach didn't have power, but what he did have, on top of actual, respectable power that I didn't think he had, was a phenomenal chin and an ability to show Tank, yo, you don't scare me. And if you don't scare me, but I'll get in the fire with you and I'll look to win. What you gonna do? And as we see, that's what happened. Yeah, Roach was catching Tank with shots and countered beautifully. He did everything that you needed to do. What did you think of Calvin Ford not being the main voice in Tank's corner? Now, that was because I believe he had a medical issue. I think we covered that on the last show. Calvin Ford had a medical issue. They didn't allow for him to be able to train with Tank throughout the whole of training camp as he would normally do. And in the corner, potentially it was, I forget his name, but the other brother who was also on the team where Tank took over. Calvin Ford said it best. We all help out when somebody's going through something. Now, what that something is that Calvin Ford was going through, I'm not sure. I believe it was something medical, something physical, but I'm not sure. So I can't speak on it. What I can speak on, the way that whole team operates, there is a tandem of we pick up the slack. Again, we can talk about Tank all we want. The one thing that we can't say that he ain't dedicated and his team ain't about business. The only thing is, of recently, we have seen potentially some ripples in the, I guess, chemistry of them. Still not an excuse for why he lost. He lost. Should have lost. But regardless of which, doesn't change the fact that now, hey, will more stuff come out after the fight? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But the point of it all is, we, as much as we want to say there's a bunch of factors surrounding what could have happened, all of them are minuscule to the biggest thing, which is Tank did lose this fight. In the future, we hope that there ain't a legitimate rift that gets bigger and bigger. We believe this was in terms of the separation between the team. Again, I believe because of a medical condition, from what I understand, was a one-off situation. And then we should get them back to what we normally see. But regardless of which, we need to see this Tank as a whole. Now, with this whole fight, it's got to set a precedent to come back against everybody. There is no longer a time for a tune-up. I think that's the biggest thing. And again, hold on, we got people coming in the comments. Yo, what's good with this? Yo, hey, just got back from playing. So, what's good this morning? See, Lord Freezer, doggone it, you coming through and you. Hey, look at this. We got a problem again. We got a problem again. Just going through and conquering planets, left, right, and center. I tell you, nothing but a warlord. I can't stand you. How dare you go through? I'm scared you're gonna come over to this planet. I don't know what, you keep coming back here. Wow, you got a whole, essentially, the Freezer Force, not Freezer Force, shoot, that's your prime people, a whole empire to take care of. Brother, why are you wasting your time watching us? Shouldn't you be out in space? Ain't you still got a Super Saiyan that you need to destroy? Honestly, ain't you dead? Wait. Or should you be dead? Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. Nah, you came back. My bad. You came back and helped Goku. My apologies. You going back on your reign of terror. My goodness. My gosh, I can't. But how you doing? Good to see you, Lord Frieza. Please, I still can't stand you. But still, we're glad that you graced us with your presence and you have put your reign of tyranny on hold to hear what we got to say. How was that Namekian cookout that you had? Stealing recipes and all. Shoot. But I appreciate you coming through. Legitimately. Tank's hairdresser came out and dropped proof, explained to Tank's a lot of, hey man, look, grease, no grease, whatever the case may be, a lot of stuff's getting exposed about Tank. A lot of stuff, both by inner circle and beyond. And specifically, we need to talk about what's the beyond part real quick. But again, we got more people coming through. Rusty K, yo, what's good? What the hey now? How you doing? Good to see you, Jay Riggs. What's up, brother? How's it going? As you can see, look at the new setup that we got to offer. Yeah, buddy. If you're just tuning in, hello and welcome to the Watchable with me, Sean LaRoche, right here on YouTube and every podcasting platform imaginable. If you would, leave a like on the stream. Share it with everybody that you know. If you ain't subscribed to the channel before, go on and subscribe right now. Join this empire that we got to offer. We growing bigger and better than ever before. We are again a channel that covers the world of boxing and beyond. The boxing and NBA is what we normally do every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll cover other stuff also, like the NFL when it comes on throughout the season. As we just had Crosby just signed the biggest non-QB contract we've seen in the NFL today. Myles Garrett may be gone. Who knows? He better may go to the Commanders. They already got Deebo Samuel picking him up from San Francisco. Who knows who they may be able to garner to help out the landscape of Jaden Daniels and that budding superstar of a QB that he is. Oh, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be incredible. We still got a lot. Oh, don't forget DK Metcalf. He is also gone from the Seahawks. Wants to be traded from the Seahawks, and they released Tyler Lockett. So there's some wide receivers on the market. Jaden Daniels could get some help. Shoot, we could see him sign with the Ravens. Him, Derrick Henry, and DK Metcalf. Oh, that would be lethal. What if Carolina gets some? Hey now, what if they can get DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? potentially help bolster up their wide receiver core with what we saw in the last, 6 games of Carolina season, scoring and averaging 30 just about every game, even in losses. All of a sudden, their offense looks a bit better. All of a sudden, Dave Corona, the QB whisper, has all of a sudden gotten Bryce Young to look like something of a legitimate foundational piece in Carolina. And now, if they are willing, excuse me, to spend the money, and David Tepper's actually willing to splurge to get what this team needs to be successful, we could see a good quality building block for the rest of this Panthers squad. All that and more. Again, we'll cover that later on in the show. Don't get me wrong, but we still got more stuff to cover on this show. Yo, Dan Durango, Bill Durango. Is it Durango? Durango. Am I saying that right? Bill Dragon, excuse me, we'll call you Bill for now. I'm sorry, the text is small, and I'm trying this little bit pixelation on my screen. But what's up with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in on the show. I think Dragano. Excuse me again, please. Excuse me for saying wrong. But can you pull out Roach versus Herring fight? I can, but we got so much to cover at this point in time. Sadly, I won't be able to do it and kind of break it down. But I will say, that fight in and of itself caused a lot of people to look and say Lamont Roach wasn't all that, myself included, in that loss. Especially because it was a prime Jamal Herring, and we saw what Shakur was able to do. Lamont Roach wasn't on Shakur's level. So there's no way that we all thought that Tank would be able to or would have any trouble against somebody like Lamont Roach. But hey, the butter proved this wrong. But it showed he's evolved. But it showed that, hey, all those training camps and not growing up, but training and sparring with Tank throughout the years with Lamont Roach, brother, it showed true. It showed true. That brother is the truth. And we got to put some respect on his name. Absolutely. Oh, we got to put some respect on his name. Now, am I the only one hearing? Am I the only one not hearing him? Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hello? Can you hear me now? Am I able to be heard? I should be. I turned it up. All my stuff is hooked up right now. I think I ain't got nothing else playing in the background, do I? No, everything's muted. I think so. If you can hear me, put a thumbs up. If you can't, put a thumbs down. If you can hear me, put a thumbs up. If you can't, put a thumbs down so I can make sure that I'm being heard. Cause I just turned my mic up. Everything else is muted. I shouldn't be drowned out by anything, unlike the last show. I made sure I got my stuff. Okay, we good. Okay, just making sure. Okay, so now that we said we got a lot of people commenting. My goodness, let me go on and start reading. Okay, let's see. I think I like the fight build up more with Calvin Ford by his side. Oh, he adds something special to it. He in and of itself is also a personality, as well as he's a good guiding light for the likes of Tank in his life and career, in and outside the ring. So no, it is a lot more fun when you have the main team around to help build up the fight. Because that whole crew, there is a hierarchy of star power and of personality. Each one brings a different thing, not just to the fight plan, but to the build up as a whole. Oh, it's so odd. Hopefully, whatever, if there is a medical issue with Calvin Ford, he's able to come back and be what we normally see from him on average. Going forward, we don't want anything going bad. Oh, trust me, we don't. We want Tank at his best. Tank at his best is with Calvin Ford. Regardless of what you want to say about how we critique him, which is justifiable, we still want to say Tank is the best Tank that we know. We want that. And so because of that, hey, again, still no excuse for the Lamont Roach fight. He did still lose, regardless. But even still, we don't wish anything bad for Tank to be diminished. We don't hate on him. We don't want him to fail. We want him to be tested and come out on top to show how great he really is. That's all that we want. And so you ever see Lord Freezer laughing again at the going over and taking over planets. Yeah, I'm so glad. Again, I'm late, but I'm coming through. And so, okay, we can be here. Okay, not bad. 11 people, 11 likes. Now that's a great crowd. See. You know what? It's all about presentation. That's why I've been working to get this done so we can look the part to get more people invested and enthralled. Oh, yes, indeed. We entertaining. We just didn't have the makeup to get people to catch on, to latch on to what we saying. But oh, yes, we do. Oh, yes, we do right now. Oh, and I'm so happy about it. Okay, yeah, everybody can hear me. We should be good. Pull up Roach versus Herring round 2. round 2 and round 9, minute 45 seconds into the round. It's a great talking point when you see it. I would love to pull it up, but sadly, I got so much to cover on this show. I won't have time, and we don't want to go 5 hours. But again, that is, for those of you, hey, use this as a plot point. Backing up what I'm saying, use Bill's recommendation as a means to go through and validate what I'm saying. If it doesn't, great, come back and say it. Again, right now, I don't have time to pull it up because we do have a lot to cover. But use this as a reference, as to go back and validate when we're talking about everything about not just my fighting style, but also everything with knockdown and all that stuff. Look it up. It backs it up perfectly, phenomenally. Absolutely phenomenally. But again, appreciate you pointing that out in Bill. Absolutely. That's not just my speaker. No, just to speak on my phone. Okay, we're talking about what y'all are doing. So I understand. But again, now, real quick, last thing on Tank before we move on to the rest of the boxing topics. Last thing. And I've been trying to say it, but I can't get through it. Now that we've had this whole saga, all of this, what I said initially before we got into all the comments and all that stuff, we are looking at Tank and we're saying the worst thing that Tank ever wanted to happen has now happened. He has failed in some regard. We talked about how his pride in and of itself, by his own words, couldn't take a loss. He cannot stand it. Now that that's the case, he has reached the lowest of lows by his own metrics. And everything that we normally see with every other fighter, whether it's Shakur, whether it's Shoot, whether it's Canelo, we've seen it with Inoue and others, from a lot of Tank fans specifically, going in and hating and spewing vitriol, demeaning all of them. All of that now is here. All that now is here on him. And the very thing that he didn't want to face, which was a lot of vitriol, now is coming back on him. And because of that, since he's faced the worst, or at this point, has faced the worst of failure that he's experienced in his career, now there should not be any excuse to go and say, well, I got to protect something. I got to protect I got to protect my reputation. I got to protect my status. That shouldn't be in any way, shape, or form a hindrance anymore if you had it as one in the first place. Because everybody was saying, you can do what you want. You're a big star. Was that not the conversation with Tank? Tank can do whatever he wants. Tank doesn't need a big fight. Tank can wait around and do as he pleases, similar to what we were saying, what people were saying about Canelo, with Canelo being a brother who can walk how he wants in the sport because he's the face of boxing. Tank also was trying to have that claim on him. I'm the face of boxing. I'm the baddest dude, blah, blah, blah. I can do what I want. That was all under a guise of what your production was and what your, again, status of invincibility. Now that that's disheveled and taken away, there should be no more excuse to get all the fights that we want to see now. And like I was saying in the past, and for those of you who are new, I said this last week, there is no other option for Tank to fight except for quality elite competition. We can't see him go backwards. We can't, because if we do, if we see him go back after this, when this was already a step back from what he was supposed to do, that is such a bad indictment on who he is and what truly he wants to be as a boxer, that it further cements everything I've been saying about him not wanting to be great, though his talent can be great. It is. And you have to understand, I was the one that was saying this cat could fight at 147 because of his actual talent and ability. And Tank is still Tank. Understand it. But regardless of which, now more than ever, we have to hold his feet to the fire and say, you got to prove now that you are indeed as bad as you are. You got to. You have to now. But in front of everybody. There can't be another situation where we see Tank taking a tuna fight. And again, you got to understand, for those of you who are listening now, and for those of you who are just coming in, please leave a like on the stream. If you weren't here, or you're just getting new to this channel, last episode was 5 hours. This episode's not going to be 5 hours. J Riggs and others, y'all were here. You saw exactly what I was saying when it comes to all of Tank's or the criticism I was at. I was hot like fire. Now I'm cooled down and I can be a little more even keeled in what I'm saying. Most of that is still true. Some of that I can walk back a little bit. Some of the stuff about questioning Tank, valid, but it's up to a point. Did I go hard? Absolutely. Was I upset? No question. Was I fed up? Oh, well, you better believe it. But we can hang our hat on this. Tank is still Gervonta Davis. He's still one of the best boxers that the world has to offer. He's still from a talent perspective, we can still view him as a top 10 fighter. There is no situation, and we've said this in the past, where one fight derails everything about a fighter. There isn't a situation where one fight, win or loss, derails or solidifies everything that somebody is. Again, a career is a career. Tank is not a bum. No. But has Tank reached a level now that the rubber must meet the road without any more stops? He has. This is not because we want to see Tank fail, but because now this was a fight that was supposed to be, again, a tune-up for Jake Paul. Yet he was still walking around as saying he's the best in the world. Now, he doesn't have that rightful claim in any way, shape, or form after this loss. His greatness is still great. But this fight, what it was supposed to be versus what it became, greatly diminished where his standing is. He still is a great fighter. But now to get back to that status of you are about the hype that you say that you are, we got to see him not just go through Lamont Roach and beat him, but you have to now go, and you can't take a step back from the championship level. Keyshawn Davis is now more unavoidable than ever before. Shakur Stevenson is that's name number one. We'll be completely honest if you need to fight him. Keyshawn Davis is number two. Lomachenko isn't back yet, but if he ever came back, that would be name number three. And even the stint of you waiting him out because of age now has a little bit more validity because of how you've been moving and now with this level of production. There is no longer a widely acceptable range that Tank can move in to where people can accept it as, yep, this is Tank. It can't. It's got to be something better. It's got to be something forward thinking. It's got to be something that actually moves the pedestal, moves up the staircase of legitimate challenges and star powers within his own division. Forget beyond, just strictly in his own division. Because if he doesn't do that now, more and more people are going to be calling his bluff on how great you really are because of this very performance. They're going to start calling you scared. They're going to start saying you don't want tests. They're going to start saying that you're worried. They're going to start saying all this different stuff about Tank that's going to get not just under his skin, but because of his, after Lamont Roach, if he goes down this road of willingly still waiting people out and or not bothering to fight challenges at all after this, if in fact that is what happens. Now we're looking and we're saying his own fans are going to turn against him. The wider boxing public is going to do exactly what I said would happen to Tank because of his inability to willingly take on the test in front of him. He's going to start being forgotten. He's going to start having less level of stardom in his arsenal. He's still going to be a big star. But over time, it'll diminish if this stuff keeps on happening. If this type of movement in the landscape, again, win, lose, or draw, it's not about just the result. It's about the fighter. If you're fighting somebody that people feel is a bad fighter, and then you almost lose or you do lose against that fighter, that is so much worse than if you took that fight and won. or if you fought a good fighter and then you lost. It's completely different connotations, completely different types of viewpoints. It's completely different what that does to your status in the grander scheme of the boxing world from their perspective. And Tank's gotten what a lot of other boxers have had to go through. I think Showbiz brought it up himself. Teofimo went through it. Devin Haney went through it. Ryan Garcia went through it. Almost every boxer today. AJ went through it. Shoot, Fury went through it. Though Fury did it against Usyk, but still he went through it. The level of all-encompassing invincibility now it's diminished. You're beatable. Now that you're beatable and we know you're vulnerable, words can't save what we need to see from you. Now it's got to be actions that show us what you really are. That's what we're waiting on. And if we do, then let's see. Can I have Crosby versus anyone in the 168-pound division? That maybe not. Hold on, we got a lot of people commenting. Hold on, wait a minute. Wait a second. Okay, in Roach to Herring, Roach knocked him down twice. The ref missed both calls. Lamont Roach got the benefit of the ref's discretion in that fight. My point is, it happens to all fighters sometimes. Understand. We get it. But we're not saying we're not saying that it doesn't happen. We get, again, human error. Completely understand it. We understand that fully, that human error happens in the sport. Part of it, that's what adds to the drama. What if the ref misses a call? What if something doesn't get what gets missed? We get that, absolutely. But in this much of a high-profile situation, especially with what looks to be such a blatant type of situation, it's like, it happens, but the wide public saw it happen, and now we're like, hey, do the right thing. Even if the call is missed, now the public saying do the right thing and turn it over. The public saying, yeah, this was the wrong decision. The right thing would be to overturn this into a loss and or disqualification because of what I said earlier with Tank going over in the corner, helping him out inside of the ring, stepping up to the ropes while the round was still going without the ref calling time or designating him to go to his corner at all and getting physical help from his corner. That is not supposed to happen. That is illegal in the rule book of boxing for every single commission. For the sport as a whole, you can't do that. So either way, one of those two things can be seen. And one of those two things can turn this over into a definitive loss. But again, regardless of which, it's not about the loss. Excuse me, it is about the loss, yes. But more than that, now this should be the brakes come off. And Tank, push now more than ever to prove your greatness against the people that are indeed worth, in our opinion, the grain of salt that are the best options to beat you. Prove that, yeah, this was a fluke and you a monster. And go run through. But we want you to do that. But if you don't, it's a problem. It's a really, really bad problem. I said Crosby, not Crawford. Now I'm thinking, I said Crosby, not Crawford. Now I know you're thinking of Crawford. Yep, see, you got me. You got see, y'all will change the show at the drop of a hat. But we got a situation where, like, shoot, I forgot. Oh, I need to bring up with Canelo and Crawford. Actually, that's actually a great segue because I do need to bring up something with Canelo and Crawford real quick. But before we do, let me get these last couple comments real quick. Let's see. Tank broke the rules. He knows if they overturn it, it would be the right thing to do. If they don't, I won't get angry because we've seen so many bad calls. Absolutely. We shouldn't accept this. Again, we've talked about the struggles of boxing before. One of the biggest reasons about this whole thing is the fact that people say that in boxing, the biggest problem isn't just that we don't get the fights that we want, but it's also decisions are always so wrong and or so much scrutiny surrounding all of these essentially robberies, bad decisions, stuff that isn't caught, happens on such a daily basis that swings or in situations, that would swing a fight a completely different direction. But it happens so much that people are like, well, see, this is why I don't want to pay. We want to see, as much as we want to see the best fight, we want the right man to win. That's more than anything. If you got consistency in who won, it would be so much more accepted in the boxing world of, hey, yeah, let me tune in. They wouldn't be able to use that as a plot point for why this sport in their eyes is dying. Though it is getting better than we've ever seen in the past decade, still, these things hold them back. They hold him back. They absolutely hold him back. Also, yo, Justin Kemp, how you doing? Good to see you. And also, we got, hold on. What is it? Wait a second. Carisha Harvey, what's up with you? Thanks for tuning into the show. Teach, what's up with you? Thanks for tuning into the show yourself. I almost forgot that y'all are, I almost forgot to say, hey, is there anybody else that I missed? Hopefully I missed nobody else in the chat below. My gosh, did y'all already say hi, Rusty Cage? Rusty, if you're hold on, wait a minute. Franklin, what's good with you? Hold on, wait a minute. Franklin, how you doing? Good to see you. Rusty Cage, also you, thank you so much for tuning in to the show. Everybody that's here right now, thank you so much. I do appreciate all of the love and support and taking time out to listen. We still have so much to cover on this show, and hopefully I'm not missing anybody else. And Justin Kemp, what's up with you? How you doing? Glad that you're tuning into the show, no question about it. And now, you avoiding Crosby talk and trying to phase out his power like they do old man Barroso's. Hold on, wait, hold on. Let me see. Now, Crosby, hold on. Let me figure out what's his full name. Crosby. This may be a brother that I don't know. Excuse me if I'm shoot. I'm trying to keep track of so much stuff. Excuse me if I'm missing some people. Let me see who is indeed Crosby, so I can find out if this is somebody that I am indeed overlooking as a person at 168 that should be fighting. Let me see. Again, if I'm wrong or I'm missing something, I love to see it. But tell me his name. Let me look him up. If it's just not ringing a bell, who I'm thinking of when it comes to Crosby. If I am missing somebody, please let me know so I can be sure. Shoot. Let me see. He gave Caleb Plant some problems. Let me see. Caleb Plant versus Crosby. Who was Crosby? Muccumby? Is that what you're oh. Muccumby. That's okay. There we go. I was trying to figure out who. I think that's who you're talking about. Muccumby? Is it not? Because I can't think of Crosby at 168. Muccumby, okay. If you're talking about Muccumby, if I believe you're talking about Muccumby, you got to be. Because I can't think of a Crosby who's fought at 168. But I know Muccumby gave Caleb Plant some work. Okay, yeah. No, you good. It's all good. Okay, so Muccumby. So excuse me. Let's address it then. Let's address it real quick, and then we do have to move on. Like I said, we got a lot to talk about. Muccumby gave Caleb Plant some problems. Knocked him down, knocked that brother out, then knocked him down to the body. Through his block, which is insane. Now, Muccumby against Canelo's going to kill him. Muccumby versus Crawford, though Muccumby is respected, definitely got some pop. Definitely ain't got some technique. And we saw that brother get beat on the inside by Caleb Plant. You understand? He got beat by Caleb Plant on the inside. Caleb Plant's game plan wasn't to get away from the power. He went inside with the power and beat that brother in close quarters. Knocked him out in close quarters. Learned from Canelo. Learned from David Benavidez and implemented that in his own style. So do I value him highly as a person who should be on the up and up in the landscape of the greater boxing regime at 168? No. Is he a threat? Absolutely. Does he have the power to put anybody to sleep? Especially what I saw against Caleb Plant. Yeah, absolutely. He got some serious stuff going with him in terms of what he carries inside his fist. But at the same time, against Crawford or Canelo, it's I don't know. I don't know. I can't see it. He's got a lot of technical flaws that against Canelo or against Crawford, with both of them being sublime counterpunchers. A lot better counterpunchers than the likes of Caleb Plant, with all respect to Caleb Plant. I think they both would be able to take him, in my estimation. Can't use power on the inside. Most people would try would try that and get the power. A lot of people would. You're right. No question. It's just when it comes to those two, I can't see it that he would have any real success. Because we respect Caleb Plant, absolutely. But Canelo's on a different tier. And Crawford, even though he isn't at 168 from a talent perspective, he's on a different tier too. Now, is he proven at 168? No, he's not. Completely understandable. But based on what we saw, once Caleb Plant figured out what Muccumby's weakness was, Muccumby had no answer after that. And so it's like, I can't see it for me. I said 168 and you still bring up, you're talking about, I'm sorry, you're talking about the whole of 168. My bad. If you're talking about the whole of 168 for the entirety of the division, he'll probably, I wouldn't, that's actually, for the entirety of the division, Muccumby would be a threat. He might get aged out, but he also isn't as good to be able to get to that elite status of championship aspirations. Who would you pay? Oh, who would I pay to see him fight? Let me think. Who would I? Let me look up the landscape of 168 real quick. If I was to pay this brother fight at 168, and we're looking at the landscape of 168 as a whole, with all, at least the big kahunas at the division, shoot. Honestly, I would like to see him fight against Belanga's one of them. Pacheco. Jaime Munguia, actually. Again, we need to see if Sarras can beat the likes of, or beat again the likes of Munguia. But if anything, if I wanted to have full faith in what Munguia is as a fighter, that would be the fight to make. After Sarras, if he beats Sarras, fight Muccumby. And if he can beat Muccumby, okay, I got some confidence in it. But that's a fight where it'll be a knockdown, drag out affair. And it's, again, if he does get his rematch against Sarras, I would say, if you really want to show that you are worth your medal, go fight against Muccumby and beat him. Show me that you've learned from not just Sarras, but actually taking the lessons that Canelo gave you in that ring and apply them to your style. Become better defensively. Always be attentive. Don't be so overzealous with your offense that you become you can get countered. Refine who you are. And if you can't beat Muccumby, then we got ourselves a lot of problems. And I believe Muccumby ain't even in the top 10 of the division. But for me, that would be the fight to do. And other than that, Munguia has a suspect chin. He does. That's why I want to see him against Muccumby. Show me what you have learned. Because you're going to be, if you go into the division, you still have to fight against Mbili. You still have to fight against Pacheco. You still have to fight, again, you're already going to rematch Sarras. And you got some real heavy hitters at 168 beyond just Canelo, that if you even want to get a shot at the title, you would need to face him. So, the best test for me to see if that chin, or at least your boxing ability against a powerful puncher, is indeed gotten better, go fight against the likes of Muccumby. After you beat Sarras, if you beat Sarras. Again, all this is if. But this is what you got to go through. This is part of the process. If you still want to be in that title picture, you got to show some mettle. And I think Muccumby after Sarras would be the perfect opportunity to show us what you are. Somebody who you should be able to beat. You should be able to catch and put away. You should be able to. But with even more danger in his fist, now you got to be something more than who you are to make sure that you're safe. That's what I want to see. Excuse me. Roach wasn't either, but got respect. And hold on. That might be a past conversation. Wait a minute. Muccumby got to get his first payback first. Absolutely, yes, he does. That last this Roach wasn't either, but got respect now. He true, true. Okay, true. I see what you're saying. Okay, true. Also, real quick. Yo, Fight Buzz, what's up with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Don't you like the new setup that we got to offer? But again, all that to be said, we got a lot to cover. I've been saying we got a lot to cover. Now let's get into the next topic of the show. We got you so we can make sure that we are on track. Please, and again, you're right. Munguia versus Bruno is going to be on the undercard of Canelo versus Williams Scroll happening this year. Going to be very exciting. Can't wait to see it. All throughout May, it's going to be a phenomenal night of fights. And trust and believe, we're going to have ourselves a time, not just prepping for it, but potentially being able to see a couple fights in May. Oh, yeah, like right here on the stream. Oh, it's going to be exciting. Trust and believe. But let's go to the next topic of the show as we go through the transition. Hey, Dana White and Turki are teaming up in the world of boxing. Hey, buddy. Oh, shoot. Oh, my gosh. Oh. Can you believe it? The shock along to everybody around the globe. Turki, Al-Sheikh, and the likes of Dana White are now deemed to be together. Officially going to be in the Mecca. And like teaming up together. This is, and it's like, can't wait to hear your take on this. And this, see, and my take on this whole thing with Dana White and Turki now officially coming up in the sport of boxing. We got to go back and look at some history. Understand, Dana White initially started in boxing, was a promoter or manager, one of the two, left the sport to start the UFC and to breed a different perspective into the whole of mixed martial arts around the globe, turning it into a big conglomerate. And so is that good or bad for Turki paying both sides? And I'm about to get to it. But again, we got to go through the history of why this is happening first. This is happening because Dana White started in boxing, left boxing, I believe was promoter and manager, started UFC, built that up into what we see as now one of the biggest sports leagues in the world. The Mecca for MMA. UFC, UFC is the Mecca for MMA, period. All walks of boxing life, or not boxing life, all walks of combat sports life look to come to the UFC. From all across the world, whether it's Pride, whether it's Muay Thai, wrestling, all of it. It is a conglomerate in and of itself. He has also kept his pulse on the world of boxing, especially since we got to see those crossover fights. Remember? McGregor versus Mayweather, AJ versus Ngannou versus Fury. Even outside of the main sports or main boxing landscape, Dylan Dennis, we had Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley. Though individually they are MMA fighters, and Woodley's a Hall of Famer in the UFC, there's still the brand of the UFC, because of how great they were, was still attached to them. Anderson Silva crossing over into the boxing world, fighting Jake Paul. Who's the other brother? Was it Tito Ortiz? Also went into the boxing world? And so, like we've seen it consistently. He's kept his pulse, and now he has always had an eye to be like, I would want to come back. And now he's back. This is good. It is. Now, with that being said, I see some of the people right now. Turki's giving me villain vibes. Yeah, see, he's giving me. Something feels shady. Something feels shaky. Stuff is all around. That's how a lot of people feel around the sports world when it comes to this type of team up. But understand, this is a good thing. Reason being, I talked about it, and listen, I feel like he's like a mole in spy agency. Yeah, exactly how I feel. See, we got some people feeling the same way in terms of it's a little bit of untrustworthiness. It's kind of like, oh shoot, this brother's doing a lot of stuff, and just all of a sudden putting his foot down and just overtaking. Understand? But, and again, I'm not riding for Turki. I have no game in the fight. I ain't being paid for the brother. I ain't being paid from the brother. Shoot, I'm trying to make money from this right now. like, I'm trying to make money just from this alone. Forget getting paid by somebody else. But we have to, but understand, this is good from the standpoint of the greater boxing ethos. Because I said on this very show that we needed, or we did not say on this very show that this is a real possibility that we could see Turkey go through and genuinely make boxing promoters obsolete because they wasted time not giving fans what they wanted. This all could have been avoided if Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, PBC, Top Rank, Bob Arum, Al Heyman, everybody actually worked and put on the stuff that we're getting right now. Not waiting around 5 years, waiting for fights to potentially get ruined, like with AJ and Fury, like with AJ and Wilder, and legitimately put out a business model of consistent level of quality. This Turkey wouldn't need to happen. This wouldn't be a possibility because we would already have, we got enough. We're good. Fans love us. We're in a situation where we can, we got consistency. We got stables that with everybody having a legitimate name, everybody's being tested. There's still fights that people want to see. Rematches that can be made. All this could have been avoided. And I told you, because they wasted their time, Turkey's got a real opportunity to come in and make his own league. Because he talked about this like a year ago. And make all of them obsolete. And do exactly what we have been saying as fans we want to do. One belt, one champion, one belt, one champion, and one concrete ranking. And everybody, if you want to get there, you get there by fighting the best. Force your way into the foyer of the elites by making a statement against the people that are ahead of you on a consistent basis. You got to earn your way up. We've seen that right now. Every big shakeup in the world of boxing right now, of the last 2 years, has been almost solely under the regime of Turki Al-Sheikh. It has. Almost all of them. And I'm not writing. I'm saying this is the truth. And now, Turki Al-Sheikh started the game plan that Dana White said that he wanted to implement in boxing. And now with Dana White always saying he wanted to get back in there, this is the means to get back in there. And remember, Dana White's with TKO. TKO is also with the WWE and the UFC. They own the WWE. I believe they own or on with the UFC as well. And so they understand there is a model from both the WWE and the UFC that we see in boxing that can work. And it's good because we were also saying that we were scared that we would see boxing now leave out of the States in America. But now, with Dana White in the midst of it, again, I don't care, regardless of how you feel about him, whether it's personally, politically, everybody's got some different stuff about how they feel about everybody. So regardless of how you feel about him personally, or whatever other stuff he has said or done, forget all that. Not forget it, but that aside, strictly with how he runs his organization, him in the U.S. is going to make fights in the States. In fact, we talked about Canelo and Crawford, which Jay Riggs accidentally brought up earlier. That very fight is going to be under Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh. That's going to be one of Dana White's first big events. And probably going to be a catalyst for the ability to get more big fights in the States. Because I told you all, don't worry about the Meccas losing their ability to get big fights. It's going to be that we get them still. They're like getting appetite for the grander scheme of the boxing world. Solidify it in Saudi Arabia. Keep on with the Meccas in Europe who already support big fights all year long because they love boxing over there. And then here, it will come. It's going to start with Canelo and Crawford, as announced, but then it's going to snowball into bigger stuff. Now you got the 3 fights in May, all happening in the States. And then potentially with Dana White now, there could be a situation where, again, I don't know how exactly it's going to work, but it could be a situation where Dana White does matchmaking for a lot of the American fighters. People who are under the Riyadh season banner. And we see he controls putting fights here. Turkey controls putting fights around the globe. And they both work together as two sides of the same mind to make this stuff happen and continue giving us the fights we want to see. And so that's what so I'm like, hey, it's good for the sport from that standpoint, because they have done, or each of them are operating in the same vein. And we already see the success of the UFC. What we 2 years ago, on a year or two ago, on this very channel, were we not saying that the UFC was better because they were getting consistent fights? Volkanovski versus Makhachev, Alex Pereira versus Adesanya. We were getting Alex Pereira versus Prohaska. We were getting Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira versus Volkanovski. Not Volkanovski, versus who's that brother? Heavy-handed brother. The name eludes me at this moment in time. We were getting throughout divisions good quality fights across the board in the UFC. And we were saying that is a better product than boxing. Boxing at its best, there is few things that can top it. But boxing's rarely at its best. It's rarely even at its average because of how bad matchmaking has been over the course of a decade or so. Now, it's completely different. This is good because now this makes it so that we see boxing on a more constant greatness level. And in the States, we're going to get the bigger fights that we want to see here. Because it's looking to be also, Dana White's going to be the face for the boxing in America under the Riyadh season, and Turkey's going to be the face for boxing around the globe. Turkey's going to ultimately be in control, but because Dana White and Turkey are going to be on the same page, this is going to be something that shakes up the landscape of everything. To put boxing as close as we've seen to the golden age when everybody was fighting everybody consistently. Prospects and champions. Upsets happening left, right, and center. Consistent test and true greatness shown by your resume and who you've done. And making it so that people are more marketable. Again, this is what the WWE. Let's not forget that. TKO is owners of the WWE. Dana White and the UFC have worked with the WWE before. Cain Velasquez fought there. And they've done cross-promotion to promote their fights at WWE events. They know what spectacle is. They know what it means to make a story worthwhile. You see it right now with the bloodline for my wrestling fans out there. It's like chess. It's chess. All of this is chess. And now the two of them together have built up the Dana White was the final piece to get what Turkey's been wanting. You saw what he's done to make boxing feel grandiose all around the globe. From the spectacle to the venues to the way that he goes and gets musical artists and artists, all that. We're doing all that. Trying to make the event feel special. Dana White has dealt with some of the biggest buildups in sporting history. John Jones versus Cormier, McGregor versus Nurmagomedov. McGregor versus Jose Aldo. Fury versus Ngannou, Fury versus AJ. We've seen he knows, and with him being tied with the WWE, he knows what it takes to tell a story. Turkey knows what it takes to make an event feel grand on the night. The two of them combined now is a perfect situation. It's a perfect situation. Perfect situation. Dana's got connections with every major mecca and minor mecca in the world of combat sports in the U.S. So negotiating to get major venues and places that you all want to have fights in your own backyard where the real fans can come out and support, he can get that done. And a lot more easy. And with Turkey backing the money, people may say, oh, is he stretching himself thin? One, you got to understand, the brother's probably got more money than we can even imagine. And two, you also have to understand, all of these early investments, like I said before, that he was doing in the sport, paying big money, signing big time deals, giving these fighters mega type of stuff. It is to build up a reputation that will pay for itself on the back end. Because once we start putting all these mega fights in on a more constant basis, like we're already seeing now, the turnout's going to be Hey, yeah, we're going to make a profit. Don't worry. Oh, don't worry in the slightest. From sponsorships to the fight itself to the gate, the pay-per-view, all that stuff. We're going to make a profit. So I don't think they're concerned about that in the slightest. And when it comes to the other promoters around the league, you all, whether it's Eddie Hearn, who's now talking about he's going to retire, whether it's Bob Arum, whether it's Al Heyman, whether it's Frank Warren, whether it's Oscar De La Hoya, you all built this monster. This is not something where an evil person's coming in and taking over what was already established. You built this because of what you did not give the fans. You built this based on what you did not do. You built this by not wanting to work together. You built this. We love rivalries. We want you to be competitive, but you built this by trying to freeze people out. You built this by letting your champions not get tested. You built this by willingly pushing a stigma of mediocrity across the board when it came to your fighters and stables. You made this possible by making it so that nothing is worthwhile when it comes to fans pushing out money. You made this possible for somebody like Turki Al-Sheikh to come through and build his own conglomerate. This is on you because you could have avoided all of this. One league, one belt, all of that situation. All of you all could have helped to make that obsolete if you so chose. But you dragged your feet. You waited around. You robbed the fans. You spit in their face when it came to making fights that are worthwhile. You waited out mega fights that should have happened 5 years earlier. You let losses happen. And then proceeded to essentially throw your favorite fighter out the water. You built this. And because you built this, you gave it open. There wasn't a window before. But you, by your own actions, helped chip away at what we're seeing from the boxing world. And now we see what it is. Now we see what's going on. But let's see. Oh gosh, I'm missing. Make American boxing great in America, and make American boxing great in America again. And I think under Dana White, that's what's going to happen. It's going to bring the gravitas and the consistency, especially with him as the front man for the states in the sport. Oh yeah, it's going to be big. It's going to be. I truly believe it's again. Do I know everything? No, absolutely not. But what I understand about the background of Dana White with TKO, with WWE, with the UFC, and with how he and Turki are both thinking on the same page. They both separately, in individual interviews, before even Turki got on the scene, Dana White was saying some of the same stuff that Turki's saying now. So yeah, it's possible. It is indeed possible. And see, I've seen this before in the movie, Romeo Must Die, with Jet Li, one guy collecting all the deeds and has all control. Yeah, see, it's the opening was there. By the way, a number of fighters like Virgil Ortiz, Adames have not been paid by Turki since the BWF2 card. Things starting to smell fishy. Now, that I did not know. I do not know. I'll look into that absolutely. But if that is indeed happening, oh boy, that could be a legitimate problem. That could be a legitimate issue. Now, do I think probably by the end of, probably by mid-month, this month, will they get paid? Most likely. Because this is the first time I'm hearing that happen with somebody not getting their money. Could it be delayed? Understandable. There's also understand that we ain't seen the card that's stacked. So moving around the money might be a little bit ahead. Again, I'm not trying to ride for anybody, not trying to get the benefit of the doubt, trying to understand the situation as a whole, full context and full disclaimer on both sides. If this does indeed continue, I'm gonna keep an eye on that. This could indeed be a problem, major problem, absolutely. But do I think they will get paid? I'm almost assured. I don't think he would do this with what he's done with his reputation in the past. Or, up until this point. Hasn't showed anything to be something sketchy. So I'm not buying into that. But if stuff like this does continue, and it does indeed come out that, yeah, I ain't get my money for anything. Okay, we got a different conversation. And I will have that conversation when the time comes. No question. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything about this. Everybody seemed like they got paid. I'll look it up. No question. After the show. And if it is indeed true, and it does indeed still, they're not getting their money, we come back to the table and we talk accordingly. No question about that. Absolutely. Listen, they had a mega card with people on Better BM and moved into 6,000 seats because 20,000 stadium wasn't selling well. Again, I believe we talked about the stadium seating before on this thing. But see, the UFC can announce week advance to a certain location and it gets sold out compared to boxing has to promote for multiple events. Understandable. But you also got to understand that process was a slow process. That process to get to where the UFC was getting selling out the week of, or a change got made and boom, everybody's still okay with it. Yeah, it's because of we keep talking about appetite. The appetite for the product made the fans loyally want to buy it. And even if the product every card wasn't even great, but it still got sold out because the fans trusted that this was the best that we could get on almost all consistent basis for the UFC. Ever since it's reached its pinnacle, they haven't robbed the fans on the whole of what should be done. The only biggest issue right now is John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Where is that fight? But outside of that, it's been like pretty consistent. And so, let me pay my money. Let me go on and sell out the stadium because it's real. We can believe that this is going to happen. We can believe it's going to be worth the money because every other time we get knockouts, great fights, bloody affairs, consistent heart on their sleeve, constant competitive fights with people that make sense. And the people that earn a shot get the shot when it's time to get the shot without any real question. So that's why it was a slow buildup of consistent quality that then led to consistent loyalty. And now they can go, even if they didn't make good cards, people would still sell. But they do always make the best card on average that they can. So people continue to buy the fight. So I like Virgil, but he should have lost against Bojack. Understandable. Like I said, I'm still flip-flopping on that fight. But regardless of which, I hope that rematch still happens right now. I hope so. I still do. Oh my gosh, I wish that rematch would happen. Especially after both of them coming off of wins. Would be a perfect opportunity. Maybe I'm sour, but buying ringside seat tickets to see Virgil and he backed out the fight and I had to settle for washed Joe Diaz for the main event. Oh, okay. So you got robbed of an opportunity to see who you want to see up close. Understandable. I feel you. Again, but I think knowing Virgil, again, maybe that was a one-off occurrence. I think that was a one-off occurrence. So please don't hold that against him. Please, if he does it again, we got a problem. But maybe you're holding on to a past level of trauma that you felt cheated out of, that you wanted to get some money out of. Understandable, completely understandable. Listen. A league with a constant schedule allows for ongoing advertising and money that boxing has never seen on a grand scale. And again, with how boxing has worked, even in the past, it was indeed not necessarily a league, but it was like, how do we say this? There wasn't a definitive board that controlled everything. We talked about what's his name? Teddy Atlas wants to do a full-blown boxing commission, one big boxing commission, one league, one belt, one champion, just like what Turki and Dana White are talking about, but on a scale that is kind of separate from all of them. He's already started that petition. He already started that work of getting such in Congress and the Senate to vote on it. Let's get some consistency and some decorum and some actual guidelines for what the sport should be, how the sport should go, who should fight who, rules and regulations, all that stuff. He's been doing that for 2 or 3 years trying to get that to happen. In fact, longer than that, I think. Pushing for that. That's what this is. That's the model that Dana White has had in the UFC. when it comes to pay, a whole other conversation with Dana White. Really been accused of not paying their fighters. But the model in and of itself, separate from that, has been able to work. Boxing by itself used to have that. They didn't have a stable, consistent model. However, once they got out of that, more belt commissions came through, more promoters started joining the frame, making their own thing, becoming big. Now, it got away from that. Everybody was on the same page until everybody wasn't. When everybody wasn't, now we see the changes that we see right now. So, that's what. But with this, yeah, this is something that boxing, in and of itself, has not seen before. They have. I'm telling you, they have. And this could be great. This could really be good. This could really shake up and change the very essence of what we see as boxing from this point forward. What to expect. And that's the biggest thing. The expectations have now changed. The landscape has shifted. And we were on this show multiple times saying that this brother Turki Al-Sheikh, he's doing something that is shifting the landscape of this sport. That if the promoters currently aren't, if they aren't taking, or they aren't doing on their P's and Q's, this will get ripped away from them. And to a degree, it's deserved because of how they've been operating. But it will get ripped away, and when it does, and we see the consistent level of excellence from the standpoint of consistent quality boxing that we were robbed of for over a decade, now become a new norm, they're going to be iced out. Because why do we need to go there if we can get here? Now I can get the most notoriety from here. The biggest way to get where I want to go in my career if I'm a boxer would be to go under Turki. Because I'm going to be tested. I'm going to be tried. And when I overcome this, there will be no question where my reign is, where my standing is in the grand scheme of the boxing world. I get respect, I get paid, I get notoriety, and I get legacy. All under this one guy. And I can afford to chase what I want to chase because I'm not scared that I'm going to lose out on making money under him if we see this go like I think it's going to go. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. Be wary. Always be wary from the standpoint of keep your eyes open for anything. Absolutely. And we're going to call it like we see it if something is indeed fishy. But as of right now, this looks to be great. I miss the days when Tommy Morrison fought 19 times with 60 knockouts. Remember, Tyson fought 18 times in his first year. Holyfield fighting incredible. You had people, you had Sugar Ray Robinson fighting like 10 times a month. It was insane. We can get back to that. I think under this book, we can get back every 3 weeks. Every 2 weeks, in some cases every 2 weeks. We can get back to that. And since we can, it's going to be great. And Ryan and Haney money took a long time too. It did. It indeed did. Ryan a little bit sooner because of the fact that, oh, you're saying their money took a while as well. But they weren't under Turki, were they? Were they both under Top Rank? Or were they under I don't think they were under Turki Al-Sheikh when they fought against each other and their money was made. I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't believe so. I thought it was Top Rank or the PBC that they were under. But again, it's a separate conversation when it comes to if Turki and Dana can bring boxing back to network TV, I'll be the biggest. And look, let me tell you something right now. Remember, the UFC's already got deals with or they had to deal with ESPN. Remember that they were already showing good cards on regular TVs on Saturday. Not like big time, John Jones and stuff. But it was still like a lot of quality competitors. People that still had a recognizable name, even if they weren't the biggest. We're still getting on regular TV. The prelims of UFC fights would come on ABC or ESPN, excuse me. By proxy, come on ABC. And you could watch them. And then you would go to see the pay-per-view. on their paper, on the actual stream platform. But regardless of which, all this that we're talking about, what we want to see, Dana White has had experience already implementing that. And so this is a real possibility. Remember, boxing, when it first came back on ESPN, their first fight was Jeff Horn versus Pacquiao. A phenomenal fight, but Pacquiao got robbed, which sadly set a bad precedent for what people to expect. But regardless of which, it was exciting. It was incredible. It was on regular ESPN cable television. Not ABC, but still the best thing that we could get, as close to what we got back in the day. Accessible to everybody. And so ESPN and other companies, they're looking to see if there's something they can use to put on for sponsorships. The whole thing is making money. Dana knows how to make money. Turki's shown he can give quality and has the money to put something into motion if he needs to. So now that all that is a good precedent to say, these very types of options with this duo, it's no longer out the question. It's not a pipe dream. This is an actual possibility that this stuff could happen. It's an actual possibility this could happen. And if so, I mean, it'll be great. Imagine if we get a championship fight on regular television, like basic regular television. My gosh. And it's a good one too. That's one of the biggest reasons why people got invested in boxing in the past. Because everybody could either hear it on the radio or everybody could, when television came about, you could see it straight up. And then boom, you got to witness greatness. Hence, you want to see what's going on next. It used to be hundreds, it used to be stadiums of 100,000 people. 100,000 people would come in to see big fights on a consistent basis in America. It's because the way that boxing was, it helped satiate an appetite that made it so it can't miss type of television or just live stuff outright. Indeed, that's how it was. And so because of that, when you make it easily accessible to the common man, the whole benefit from it. And I think that's what we can see. A league will bring endorsement deals that have been invading boxers for decades. And that's the, oh my gosh, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. Because you also got to understand, UFC used to have mega endorsement deals all the time when it comes for individual fighters. Remember, it used to be some of the most iconic attire that we've seen. People like John Jones, Conor McGregor, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, Rashad Evans, my favorite fighter, Rampage Jackson. All of them. Santos, George St. Pierre, all of them. Dan Henderson early on. All of them. It was, fighters could get sponsored individually. That's why he had that big old banner that they used to have that made for some of the most iconic types of looks in the boxing world. And you can make money separate from the sport by you being sponsored by a fighter. Put some stuff on your trunk. Put some stuff on your gloves. Get a put on a tattoo on your back, whatever the case may be. All of it. Until the UFC went to one deal with Reebok and then boom, made it only one brand that people could do. Boxing, they could make it so that they get back to that. Because then there's too many gloves that everybody's got a preference to. Too many attires that everybody's got a preference to. That he can control only one brand making this sport what it is. There's too many. There's too many. And it's too intricate. Boxing's got too much history in all those things to where now I'm fighting what I want to fight in. But sponsorship-wise, oh gosh, yeah, they can make it, they can more than ever. Because everybody will know where to go. Everybody will know where to go, and you're guaranteed to get seen. You better believe it. There's a lot of good stuff from a money standpoint and a business standpoint that all of this can snowball into. That it's like the more and more you think about it, again, I'm not trying to ride for it, but it makes a lot of sense. It really does. And so they can form a union with actual benefits to assist retired boxers and transition after exactly what Teddy Atlas was trying to do. I guarantee you're going to see Teddy Atlas speak on this next week. And he's going to be like, yep, this is exactly what I've been waiting on. If they don't run that like a dictatorship from the standpoint of We don't care about you just getting in the ring. And they give fighters the opportunity to be able to be set up like they want to be set up. Make a union, make themselves applicable to have the ability to have control over their careers, both in the midst and after they're done. A level of security, a level of health care, all of that. The very thing that Ngannou was trying to push for in the PFL, which is why he signed a deal with the PFL, or the PLF, excuse me. This could all be in the works. Now, with Dana White, that may be one thing that's like, maybe a little bit hard, because Dana White paying fighters and all that stuff, unions and all that stuff, that's a whole other conversation. But it is possible. Because you got to understand, even right now, it's still the boxers that have all control. They are the product. They can sign to it. They bring the audience, because they are in them of itself the attraction. They are what people pay to see. And so if they do this, they'll be the one, they should be, from what I understand. They should be the ones that have control to be able to dictate, make sure I am covered. Get paid fair, but beyond that, be able to make sure we all are able to have what we need after we're done with the sport. So there is a lot of stuff that can be good for the sport. A lot of stuff. And because of that, this is good. I think this is really good. I think this can be great. Dare I say, this can be monumental. This is one of the biggest steps up to the dream that many people have had to making boxing, at least in America, one of the big three sports in the United States. It's already one of the biggest sports around the globe. We understand it. Europe, Japan, Asia, UK, all of them. It's big over there, absolutely. In the States, no. It's been a struggle over the past decade or so. Now it can come back, and it can be set up to where it is actually built to sustain itself. This could be really, really good for the sport as a whole. And all the stuff about how boxing and being big in America, people don't care, X, Y, Z, all of that with one league, making it easier for people to follow, it could indeed be something that sets everybody up for success, both here in the States and beyond. But specifically here in the States, it can be very advantageous. So keep an eye out, because if this goes the way I think it's going to go, we ain't seen nothing yet. We ain't seen nothing when it comes to what type of quality level consistency or quality level constant boxing that we've all been clamoring for. It's coming. Oh, it's coming sooner rather than later. And we were on that train early to say, as a leader, can get a large insurance policy to cover payments for fighters. That way the money will be covered at all times. See? Every more. And again, I'm not even good on the business side. I don't even know everything. Absolutely. I've told you all before. Business side, there are more people that know more about the behind the scenes and the logistics of stuff than me. No question. But what I do know with what I know, there is a tectonic shift that's about to bring this sport to where it should have been already with this Turki, Al-Sheikh, and Dana White deal. Be skeptical, sure. Have your reservations. Understand it. A lot of stuff is moving really quickly. I can understand where everything may seem something's got to be not on the up and up. This is almost too good to be true. Let's be frank. This is almost too good to be true. But the fact that it is true, and it looks to be that, this ain't a pipe dream. This isn't some facade. This ain't something we've been clamoring for 3, 5, 10 years. That it's just, it'll never happen. We're on the cusp of it. And it came so quick, we didn't, it's almost like there's no way that this is coming without any sort of strings that's going to actually be incredibly bad. I get it. I completely get it. I'm not saying let go of those feelings, but also look back and say, up until this point, everything's been on the up and up. If something is awry, call it out. But if this does indeed become the monster that I think this can become, could be nothing but spectacular for the fans and for the fighters and for the legacy of the sport as a whole. This could be something that is indeed one of the best things that we have witnessed from the standpoint of a league or from the standpoint of a sport having a resurgence of life. And because of that, have hope. Have reservation, sure. Keep a watchful eye. Don't let that pass you by. But also have hope. And understand that while we may be skeptical, we want this to work and to be on the up and up. And if it does indeed get on the up and up, embrace it as fully. Embrace it fully. And so shoot. That's all I can. That's my opinion on it all. I think this is going to be great. And I'm excited for you and me as fans as a whole. It's going to be phenomenal. But now, shoot. I think is that everything that we needed to cover? Oh, by the way, one more thing. We still got some other logistical stuff in the boxing world, like with Inoue versus Inoue's about to fight. What's his name? Hold on. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring it up real quick. He's about to fight. Inoue is set to not just fight Muccumby, but also fight Roman Cardona back to back in May and in September. Ooh wee. So now it's just about. I believe it's been confirmed. In fact, I can pull it up right now on the thing. But as of right now, it looks to be Inoue's about to fight twice this year when it comes from the standpoint of fighting Roman Cardona, and then also fighting shoot, I'm struggling to say that, but the name Muccumby in September of this year. Both of them in the same year. Like this is what we wanted. Like we said, if we want everybody to fight the best available opponent, we didn't think it was going to be Muccumby. Then it started to be Muccumby, and now it's going to be both Cardona and Muccumby, which is again not bad at all. That is quality work that we all look forward to when it comes to the standpoint of consistently testing yourself, which is what I like to see. Let's see if I can. We now know there will be hurdles as anything at the beginning, but it'll be great for the sport as a whole. Absolutely, it will be. Absolutely will be. But again, we got to cover that. Then we got to get to the championship rounds. But now, real quick, now that we got Inoue fighting Muccumby and Inoue fighting Roman.
You've got the establishment.
Cardona. We also got another announcement with Katie Taylor and Amanda Sarrano happening. Their trilogy is happening on July. One of the biggest and one of the most insane trilogies that we have been seeing from a competitive standpoint. It's about to be on and popping. And because of that, oh my gosh, I think genuinely we're going to see Sarrano pull it out. We're going to. Because now, unless Katie Taylor, again, I thought she lost that last fight, though it was another fight of the year contender. Headbutting, a lot of illegal stuff that was getting under Sarrano's skin, getting under my skin, honestly. Because it was like a point should have been deducted at some point in time on that phenomenal, or on that card, on the Tyson versus Jake Paul card. That fight was great. That fight stole the show. That fight coming again, oh my gosh. Oh, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be phenomenal. But I think we're going to see Amanda Sarrano pull it out. But it's happening on July 11th this summer. So it's going to be hot. And brother, it's going to be action-packed. It's going to be a time where everybody can watch and see it. So I'm excited for it. But now that we've got that covered, I believe that's everything in the boxing world and other topics. So with that being said, we can now do what we do best, which is go into the championship rounds. That's right. Let's get it on and pop it. It's time to work. It's time to start. It's time to go. Make the show your own. Yeah, I ain't got to type it up no more. I can bring it up right here on the stream. Make the show your own. Whatever you want to talk about, comment and debate. Discuss, whether it's boxing, whether it's basketball, whether it's anything under the sun, movies, video games, anime. The floor is yours for whatever you would like to discuss. Also, understand we are here talking about, we still got so much more to cover, 30 minutes to an hour, so we can't go too long. We can't be here all night long as much as I would love to be here. We can't be here all night long. For the, like I said, we ain't going 5 hours. Shoot, we were supposed to be only going about, an hour 30. But doggone it, we got to get better at moving through. But regardless of which, We still here. So whatever you want to discuss, whatever you want to talk about, put it in the chat. We got 30 minutes. We're going to make it only 30 minutes. We got time today. Let's make it happen right now. What you got to say? Is the let's see. Yo, Tremo, what's going on with you? How you doing? What's good to see you? Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for joining on the Welch Report. Is the draw overturned? So the draw is now being contested. Like I said earlier at the top of the show, Lamont Roach has put in a direct request to go and get that fight overturned. There is grounds for the Tank fight to be overturned from a draw into a legitimate loss and or disqualification. A loss if that need does indeed by the New York State Athletic Commission, if it gets counted as it was a knockdown and that card is wrong and Lamont Roach should be deemed the winner, or it could be deemed a DQ if we do see that Tank getting help from his corner when he went to his corner by getting his face wiped down, which by the rule book is indeed illegal to do in between rounds unless directly given permission by the referee. There is grounds for a legitimate disqualification on the side of Gervonta Davis. So in both instances, there is no positive spin that Tank can have in this fight. It will either be a disqualification or an outright loss, or it'll stay the same and it'll be still seen as a draw. But regardless of which, there is no way that Tank can win this fight. But it could be overturned into a loss by the New York State Athletic Commission. And give it a couple months. Shoot, give it by the end of March. We could have a decision on what this fight's going to be. Keep an eye out for that. It's going to be incredibly close. It's going to be incredibly close to hotly contested. But again, championship rounds, whatever you want to discuss and talk about, we got it right here for anybody to go through. We can also, while we're waiting on your opinions, debates, and whatever questions, we can also talk about the NBA. And we are a multifaceted show, are we not? We can also talk about the NBA and the league as a whole with the playoffs coming up. Only a couple weeks away from the NBA playoffs happening, and we have some shakeups in the world of basketball, and we got some very dire straits when it comes to what's going on with the Dallas Mavericks, because now Kyrie Irving's out with the ACL injury. Oh my God. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. We're looking at a situation where I'm telling you, Nico Harris better lock his door. He better move. That cat better not come to a game. This has been one of the quickest and most diabolical breakdowns of an organization that we have ever seen in, dare I say, in sports history. First, it was Luka getting traded. Then it was, or before that, Derek Lively got injured. Then Luka gets traded for AD. And then AD, after putting up 26, 14, and 2 blocks in 3 quarters, gets injured. Potentially will not be back for the rest of the season. In fact, I think he's gotten shut down for the rest of the season. Then Derek Lively out. Then Daniel Gafford out. Tim Hardaway Jr., I believe, out. And now Kyrie Irving, the brother who we got to see Kyrie iso ball for the longest time, trying to carry this squad to any semblance of success. In fact, so one poll had them still with Kyrie leading the squad at 57% ability to make the playoffs. Now that dropped to 7. Kyrie Irving cuts through the lane, tries to step through to get an easy layup in I forget who the opponent was, but steps through, goes in for a layup, clashes knees with somebody in the land draw. Looks like he hyperextends the knee, but it turns out tears his ACL. Now he's out for the year. This Dallas Mavericks squad went from playoff contender. They went from last year being essentially losing in the finals, getting to the finals. We won't even say losing. They got to the finals last year. Now they are now one of the most decrepit teams in the league because of injury and because of letting go of their top 5 star. This has been one of the fastest downfalls that I have seen of a team in the history of any sports regime. There is no way that this, if you are a Dallas fan, I could completely understand if you went and just left. If you just left, if you just dipped, if you just like, I'm done. Wash my hands of this whole squad. No way. We've never seen this. And also understand, with this Dallas Mavericks squad already being so bad, Kyrie Irving is still a free agent next season. Even with the ACL injury, regardless of ACL injury, he's still a free agent next year. If he sees that this squad got decimated from the inside by Nico Harris, and it's like, I'm not putting up with this, that brother could also leave. And if anything, they could also try to trade away Anthony Davis if they feel that, look, we made a grave mistake. It's now we're not just in an injury type of situation. Hold on, excuse me. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let me make sure. Hold on, wait a minute. Trying to make sure. Is my volume up now? I think that the mic almost got turned down. My bad. I think the mic got turned down accidentally when I was scrolling through. But regardless of which, now with this whole situation, we're saying, well, shoot. AD could legitimately get traded next year if they see that this is an investment not worth having. Especially if we see that Kyrie Irving chooses to dip because of the debacle that was this year. Oh, there's a lot of volatile stuff. But all I know is this organization has been single-handedly decimated. Not because of anything that the players did, but because of the sole ignorance and stupidity that Nico Harris has on this team. I mean, it just baffles my mind. It baffles my mind. And this could be because they're trying to tank this squad in order to get casinos built and move this team to Las Vegas. There is a legitimate possibility that this is what's being talked about in the ethos of the basketball world. This is not just a thing to do just because it's on a whim. This could be genuinely to get this team to tank in value and get this team out of here and go into Las Vegas. Again, rumors. But with the way that they're moving and with who owns the team, not just GM Nico Harris, but also the owner in and of herself, ain't not the question at all. Not the question in the slightest. But also, again, one of the other things in the NBA, shoot, we got OKC, Cleveland. We have the Boston Celtics again looking like they did, looking phenomenal. We just had, I believe, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard put up, I believe both of them put up 40 in their last game. We have one of the more hotly contested playoff races or spots to the finals that we've seen in recent years. Oh, it's incredibly exciting. Grizzlies right now looking like, I believe they are right now, I believe second or third in the Western Conference at this point in time. Zach Edey, along with Jaren Jackson Jr., along with Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and the entirety of the squad looks to be incredibly tough to beat. But we have to give props where props is due, even with the Nuggets still being in the whole regime, as they always are, with being one of the more dominant squads in the NBA, with the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, being Nikola Jokic. In my opinion, MVP. But we have to give props to what this Lakers squad has turned into. We don't want to just keep talking about the Lakers. Understand it. We don't want to just keep harping on the Lakers as the only talking point. Again, we have Cleveland, who is looking like a team laden for success. A team that, look, we never thought anything after the LeBron era would be able to be something worthwhile. And all of a sudden, Donovan Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, and Jared Allen have turned this squad into one of the more dominant teams in all of basketball. We get OKC is indeed built for decades of success right now, and already still looking like a finals contender. One of the most complete teams that we've seen, dare I say, in NBA history, from top to bottom. And with the ability to trade up to get more stars. Rumor has it they may try to get Kevin Durant back on OKC. Trade away a lot of those picks that they have. And they could still get Cooper Flagg this draft with how much capital that they got. Oh, it's insane. Oh, it's ridiculous. We have all these teams that are set and ready. But we cannot deny that this Lakers squad has done something that we didn't think was possible. Or rather, we can't deny that this squad has done something that I said was possible, but seemed highly unlikely. Be a finals contender. This team is second in the Western Conference. They have gone on almost an 8-game win streak. Before Luka Doncic got there, they had a couple 6-game win streaks. They had already had one of the better defensive squads over the past 15, 20 games before Luka got there. Offense was upticking to one of the best in the league before Luka got there. Before Luka was there, even when AD was hurt, they were still looking like a completely different team. This squad under JJ Redick has turned before Luka into something serious. Now with Luka, especially now Luka having back-to-back, or we averaging 30 over his last 4 games. Roughly averaging 30 over his last 3 or 4 games. Since he's gotten his legs back together. Oh, shoot. This further proves my point. Darvin Ham was never the problem. It was always, I'm sorry, the Lakers were never the problem from a roster standpoint. On the whole, it was always Darvin Ham that was the catalyst for this team's failure. Never their success. Even their success was only built by their players, not because of him. Now, JJ Redick got defensive schemes, switching, legitimate use of length and size that I said that they had 2 years ago. The actual ability to play small and still be effective. They had that 2 years ago. And even without having a legitimately good center, they are still one of the most swarming teams on the defensive end that turn into fast break opportunities that this league has to offer. Oh, they are built to be something spectacular. And LeBron right now is still playing like the best player out there. He just won Conference Player of the Month at 40 years old. That's not logical. That's not possible. That's not feasible. That should not happen. That physically should not be happening. There is no way anybody thought that would be even remotely applicable. But it happened. But I averaged 29-8 this month. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, forget GOAT conversation. Forget who's the greatest. Forget all that. We don't need to have that talk right now. That's a whole nother conversation. Strictly understand, without comparing anybody to anybody, without trying to vouch for Jordan or vouch for LeBron, whatever side of the argument you feel, regardless of whether you want to go and compare eras, compare decades, doesn't matter. Witness what we see right now and just take a step back and understand we are never going to see this again. I don't care where you value LeBron. I don't care whether you hate LeBron. I don't care whether you love LeBron. I want you to take a step back and physically think to yourself. Quantify what you're witnessing from the standpoint of LeBron James. LeBron James on the Lakers is second in the West. Right now is the NBA Player of the Month. It's averaging 29. Average 29 last month. Just put up insane numbers this last game. It's playing defense. It's still facilitating. It's still dominating every single player in the NBA right now at 40 years old. This isn't glaze. This isn't me trying to hype up somebody or another. This is legitimate awe and wonder from a man who has legitimately beaten the test of, stood the test of time. LeBron James has beaten the test of time. He is on his way to beat the test of time. He could legitimately be the only player that we see retire, not because he can't play, but because he just doesn't want to play anymore. There's a difference. There is a difference. He could be the first player, and it's insane. That's what we're witnessing right now. Forget trying to vouch for whose era is better, what level of greatness is or isn't applicable. We are looking and we're saying this is a type of sentiment that we have never seen before from the standpoint of just peak. He's got 6 types of peaks. He's improved to a shooter that we never thought he could even aspire to be. He is shooting almost above 55% from the field, and he's shooting 40+% from 3. This is not normal. This is not normal at all. Forget go conversation. Strictly on what we're witnessing. This is not normal. This is not normal. And because it's not normal, I don't want you or me missing out on what this is, which is true awe and wonder. It's incredible. I'll be remiss not to say that. Let's see. No free agent or top players will want to play for the Mavs till ownership changes. I promise you right now, ownership has shot themselves in the foot so bad. They are in 1 year They've gone from being one of the most respected franchises in basketball to turning into genuinely one of the worst franchises that this league has seen. I'm so serious. One trade messed up the entire reputation that Mark Cuban and others had laid it, that Dirk Nowitzki had laid it, that Luka, when he was there, had laid it for this team. Single-handedly. We are seeing levels of disdain from fans that we haven't seen since James Dolan owning the Knicks. Since old buddy owned the Washington Commanders, formerly the Redskins. We have never what was his name? What was his name? Guy who owns owner of Commanders. Who was it? Who was it that owns the Commanders? Hold on, give me 1 second. Hold on. Not Joe Harris. What was supposed to say? Shoot, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name at the point in time. Dan Snyder, that's what it was. Dan Snyder. I haven't seen vitriol like this since James Dolan and Dan Snyder owning the Washington Commanders and the Knicks, respectfully. They were horrible. I think James Dolan now, I can't remember who Dolan's owned the team or not still, but at one point in time, it was incredibly dire. The Knicks, they lost out on Kyrie and KD because they did not like the ownership of Dolan and the way that organization was moving internally, which was absolute dumpster fire. And the Commanders under Dan Snyder were just an outright putrid organization as a whole because they were horrible. They were terrible. He was horrible. He couldn't even honor Sean Taylor correctly. He put a mannequin as their staple statue with some barbed wire and some, not even the old jersey. I mean, just despicable. On one of the greatest free safeties that we have seen in the history of this game. The only person I say would be better than Ed Reed was him. One of the top, you could argue top 25. He was going to be that great. And you honor him like that, despicable. That is what you are. And that's what we're seeing with Nico Harris right now. That level of disdain. It is absolutely horrible. And man, LeBron spent his whole career, spent his whole legacy trying to beat our favorite players' stats when they were just playing for the love of the game. Man, LeBron spent his whole legacy trying to beat our favorite players' stats when they were playing when they were just playing with the love of the game. Now, here's what I gotta say. I believe you're talking about Jordan, correct? Unless I'm reading into this incorrectly, from the standpoint of he's trying to beat our favorite players. I think people may have this confused when it comes to what LeBron's legacy actually is. I think, and to a degree, I think media has helped curtail this level of, I don't want to call it disdain, but this skewed criticism. And when I say criticism, criticism is always warranted. We do this on this show. I analyze, critique, praise, whatever the case may be. I try to be as fair as possible. What we've seen in media, I think we covered this in the past, when it came to what happened with how this whole saga of Jordan, of James chasing Jordan, the ghost, literally, he said himself, he's chasing the ghost. We get it. We completely understand it. Every great has tried to be as great as a past great. We know this. Jordan wanted to be better than Julius Erving. Jordan modeled his game after Dr. J. My favorite player of all time, Dr. J. Jordan modeled his game after him. He wanted to be better than him. He wanted to dunk like him. He wanted to beat his stats. He did. And before that, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was already seen as, was he the greatest of all time? Him or Bill Russell, that was the conversation. But even the conversation of GOAT didn't really come into fruition up until Jordan came on the scene. And Jordan did get credit. I think Nick Wright did a phenomenal job of breaking down this whole saga between James, media, criticism, and legacy. All this stuff. Go look it up. It's really spectacular. But essentially, James, when he got on the scene, was now put under the standpoint of you got to be this. Mind you got to be Jordan. Mind you, that was already, ESPN put up is this the next GOAT of basketball on LeBron James when he was in high school, when they broadcast the championship game between his high school and the other one. I can't remember I can't remember where he went to high school at. But he broadcast that game on ESPN. And they had a whole 3-minute like a whole minute pre-roll of is LeBron James being compared to Kareem, Wilt, Jordan? Is he Bird, Magic, James? Is he the next GOAT at that age? And they continue to have that same thing, comparative greatness, which, mind you, was not a thing before. And there is a difference in going and critiquing. Oh, are you at this level? And simply just talking about the player themselves. But with everything that we said or have heard with LeBron, even if it is separate in greatness, it was always compared to Jordan. And I think that's the problem. With Michael Jordan, you can have him as your greatest. No problem. I don't care. I'm happy that you have your opinion. Do I agree or disagree? Doesn't matter. Jordan, both of them deserve to be in the conversation. No question. I'm not hating you. I'm not despairing. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. But what I am trying to do is help you understand this perpetuated argument. It's perpetuated because it makes a situation where nobody could just be great by being great. Even Jordan, when he was criticized. Understandable. He got swept by the Celtics. He got beat twice by the Pistons. Never got a winning record over Isaiah Thomas. Never. For the first 7 years of his career, didn't do a thing. Then he won. He won one title. And everything flipped to be what we see him now. He was called the GOAT after that first championship. He was called the greatest thing we've ever seen after that first championship. Once he won, he was able to be successful. And boom, got all the adulation and praise. Then he kept on winning. Great, no question. We love it. We absolutely was on the best team in the NBA, had the best supporting cast in the NBA, was the best player on that team and consistently won. Did what he was supposed to do. We loved it. But the issue was everybody that came after Jordan immediately got their greatness diminished because the only thing was around somebody else's incredible legacy. You're not Jordan. Kobe was Kobe. Kobe had his own mentality. Kobe was more driven to the game than Jordan ever was. And let's be perfectly honest. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be mean. I'm saying, and from the standpoint of taking care of your body, dedicating your life to this game, Kobe legitimately was more crazy than Jordan. Jordan would push hard, sure. Jordan would fight in practice with people, punch me. I get it, but he was also out drinking, smoking, gambling, doing all this crazy stuff, partying. He was. I'm not trying to hold that against him, but I'm saying Kobe took what Jordan did in dedication and tried to go up a notch. Revolt, tore up rooms when he was trying to figure out Iverson out. Embodied the very essence of basketball in a way that we hadn't seen potentially ever. Shoot, since Jordan. And then the only thing that was comparative to him, his legacy right now, before he died, do you know what Kobe's legacy was? He's a carbon copy of Michael Jordan. Do you understand that? Kobe Bryant, his legacy before he died was you are a copy of Jordan. You're great, but you're not the real thing. That's how we were talking about Kobe Bryant, which is preposterous. It's ridiculous. One of the greatest players ever. 9-time all-defensive. Should have had more than just one MVP. Averaged 35 one year. Scored 81 points. Was the epitome of excellence and dedication. Broke down the game to a microscopic level. Literally lived and died for this sport of basketball. Lived and died for this sport of basketball. Him and his daughter, Sally, and everybody else who died in that tragic, absolutely horrible plane crash. And his legacy before he died was that you are a carbon copy of Jordan, but you'll never be the real thing. That type of, that's not even comparative, that's not even comparing greatness. That's just you holding something above somebody. That's you. You are putting a cap because you don't. You are it's not comparing in terms of, oh, you're doing stuff like him. It's comparing to bring somebody down. You're not as great as him. Just like we see in boxing. That's what's happening. And because of that, it's like that's the same thing that's happened with LeBron on an even more scrupulous level. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Because now, just what we're witnessing right now, even when they talk about it on ESPN and others, it is still, whenever they talk about LeBron's greatness or anybody's greatness, it's either comparative to Jordan or you're not at Jordan's level. Stephen A. Smith literally talked about how LeBron is the GOAT of longevity. He's still not at LeBron's peak, or he's still not at Jordan's peak, but da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Everything about LeBron's legacy has been it's great, but. Everything about Kobe's legacy was it's great, but. Everything about all these people, every great now is they're great, but they're not Jordan. And that simple logic, and I call it simple because it is so simplistic, it's idiotic. That simplistic type of logic is so detrimental to this game that we love, that there is no wonder that Ant doesn't want to be great or doesn't want to be the face of the league. There is no wonder that it is a problem for people to get invested in players when everybody is only saying that the past era is the only era that matters in basketball. And nothing that you do now, no matter how many records that you break, no matter how much insane type of stuff that you do, no matter how much you evolve as a player, no matter how much the game evolves in and of itself, no matter how much you can accomplish, you're not them. And if you don't reach this minute level of greatness, you are just, it's going to be you're great, but. And there shouldn't be a but behind anything when we're talking about how good and phenomenal we're looking at the league. It shouldn't be, but it is, because that's how we are talking about it. And that's a problem. It's a problem. Nick's one of the biggest LeBron gobblers in the media. Again, true. I get it. I completely understand. Again, I'm using him as a reference because of the way he broke down comparative greatness goes beyond just LeBron. I'm not trying to ride for LeBron. I talked about how this is something that it's good to call it out. What he's doing, incredible. Lakers success, incredible. I talked about the Cavs. I talked about OKC. Talked about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I talked about the Bucks, how they came back from doggone an abyss that we thought was going to be this season, and all of a sudden they're looking back to the strength of what we saw with Giannis and Dame, what they can be as a duo. Great. I don't play that game where I just ride for one. I put everything into perspective. But because of that, when somebody says something good, you don't overlook it. This is one of those situations. LeBron and every other player in the league, whether it's Anthony Edwards, whether it's Victor Wembanyama, whether it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, whether it's Giannis, whether it's Jokic, all of them are doing some of the best work that we've ever seen from the standpoint of an evolution of the game, and they're playing out of their minds. And all of the praise that they have is only heaped on up to an extent. It's only done up to a certain point. And then once it crosses a certain threshold, everything goes back to comparing it to past eras. Not even in the same comparison where, oh, he's got a semblance to other people's games. He plays like Jordan. There is some Jordan attributes to him. There is some, whatever the case may be. We see that. That is not the problem. We are saying that everything that you accomplish then automatically gets compared to Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan was great. But I'm not trying to diminish his resume. I'm not. He earned what he is. But we didn't, when Jordan was coming around and went 6-0, where they weren't comparing him to Bill Russell. And Bill Russell went 8 straight. He's 11-1. He's got 10 rings and a toe ring. And we weren't comparing Jordan to him. We weren't. And both of them, same situation, same circumstance. Bill Russell seen as the best in the league. We had Jordan as the best in the league. Bill Russell had an incredible cast of talent around him. Bob Cousy, K.C. Jones, John Havlicek, almost all the whole championship run that he had. 8 straight, 11 in total. Insane, ridiculous, stupid, in the best way possible. Jordan didn't do anything for the first 7 years. Got Pippen, got Rodman, got Steve Kerr, got Craig Hodges, got Derek Harper, Ron Harper, got Horace Grant. Did like the best team in the NBA with the best player succeeded. We weren't comparing the two. We just witnessed the greatness. And we heap praise as such. Again, I'm not diminishing it. I'm saying once Jordan retired, everybody else had to fall under that mold, or if so, your greatness is only but so great. And you'll never be what we saw. And you'll never be Jordan. And because of that, that is an indictment on you. Even when we talk about the likes of James Harden, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Clyde Drexler, everybody else, their own greatness is only, their greatness is capped because they constantly have to have said, well, you couldn't beat Jordan. You see what that does? You see what that does? Automatically, by proxy of just saying that, by virtue, of just saying that phrase, but you're not Jordan, but you couldn't beat Jordan, automatically diminishes everything that player is and what they accomplish. Automatically does. And you do that every single time. This isn't even when we're saying, are you as great as them? No, any accomplishment simply goes into, you're not Jordan. I don't care whether you love Jordan or hate Jordan. If everything is only being compared to Jordan in every single situation, that becomes more than just a byproduct of, oh, you're chasing greatness. Now you are diminishing what I am just by saying his name. Because at some point in time, I've done stuff that Jordan never did. And yet still, you're saying I'm not him. I'm not him. I'm me. I'm not. I'm not him, I'm me. Messi. The only buddy Messi had to get over was Maradona. But when he won the Gold Cup, that was the only thing for Argentina, for my global fans out there. He had to get over, he had to win the World Cup against Maradona. Or that only, was it Maradona? What's not my, hold on, I'm thinking of the box. Who was the brother? The Argentinian brother. Argentina, Argentine football legends. Let me see if I got that right. Maradona, excuse me. Maradona. Not Madonna, Maradona. Maradona, excuse me. Not Madonna, the singer. But Maradona, he had to win the World Cup to get over the hump with him. But even before that, he, by his own production, was able to get the praise that was just deserved. Ronaldo, same thing. Neymar, same thing. Once we looked back and was like, oh man, this brother's still one of the greatest. He earned the right, but it wasn't done in a way that diminished anybody else that wasn't on that level or greats of the past who he was able to eclipse. It didn't do that. But with basketball specifically, that's what the conversation has become. And it's no longer just, oh, we're having these conversations to help tell the story of the sport. Now we're having these conversations more so to make sure that we hold what we want as the best. And anybody who tries to be great, automatically you're going to get docked because you're not Michael Jordan. And I'll ask you this. Oh, also, let me see. Hold on, we got people. Let's see. What's up with the Elimination Chamber, bro? Oh yeah, we talked about it yesterday. You might have mentioned we talked about it yesterday. He went. We got to see Cena win, and then we got to see him turn heel. It's like what? Also, in a couple weeks, John Cena's about to come back through. Right decision. And now we got Io Sky again becoming women's world champion. Going to face Bianca Belair, the Raw after. Oh shoot, we got ourselves a card. I can't wait to see who Cody gets to try to team up, because now that we see Cena with The Rock, it's going to be like, who teams up with Cody now? Will Roman team up with Cody? Huh? Will we see Jacob Fatu potentially team up with Cody? We already did a whole fantasy booking of what happened with the last thing, with potentially having the likes of Jacob Fatu, Roman, Orton all join the likes of Rock. Potentially that could happen. Who knows? Cavalcade of villains, just incredible. But it could also be the complete opposite. There's a lot on the line. But we did cover it last week, but I'll cover some more after. But let me see. Did you know Messi was genetically, well, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know. He plays like it. The doggone, I don't know about, I ain't never seen a genetically enhanced 5'6", 5'6", 5'5" player, from what I know. But he plays like it. My gosh, he plays like a god. He plays like a god. He does. But yeah, Maradona was the greatest for Argentina. But it wasn't, and it was because we want to see you do what he did. Absolutely. But as a player, it was widely accepted and completely justified that, yeah, you as Messi have done enough to be seen as better than him. If you do this, it takes you over the top, no question. And for the fans of Argentina as the country, okay, cool, I feel you. But as the sport saw, he did what he needed to do. And with others, they earned their place in greatness. And it's not really diminished. It was only praised. Like that's the truth. Nobody praises the players of today. They only compare to prove a point. They only compare. Every time somebody gets a semblance of greatness, it's always they're not Jordan or Kobe. Kobe wasn't able to be great by himself because he was always being compared to Jordan. Yes, though Jordan was indeed the man he was trying to be like and beat, he still became his own and should have been appreciated as such. But even with him, every turn, it was, nah, you are just a copy of the true great. Who do you think you are to be trying to be like him? Shame. By the end of his career and by the end of his life is when he finally got the praise he deserved. But outside of that, no, we lived through it. Y'all lived through it. We're not going to do it for just history. We saw this. This is what he did. This is what happened. And so, yeah, he's given super serum treatment as a youngster. He was supposed to be a dwarf. Well, shoot, that's news to me. My gosh. If that is the case, well, give me some of that. If that's the case, let me get that serum. I want to be a real life Captain America. if that is the case, again, I don't know. But if that is the case, shoot, hey, I wouldn't mind taking me some of that. Send me to some shady factory out in Istanbul. Who knows? And then let me get some of that. Who knows? You'll see me coming out looking. You'll see me. You'll see me coming out looking like Luke Cage out here. You know, so y'all be like, who is this Negro that comes up on the scene? What happened to you, brother? Anyway, I'll just be able to say, hey, I've just been working out. You know, just natural genetics just kicked in. You know what I'm saying? And so, oh, shoot. But again, to digress, all of this is to simply say, when we're looking at greatness in basketball, and greatness as a whole, but specifically when it comes to basketball, I'm not having a conversation on who's the GOAT. I'm not having a conversation on Jordan versus LeBron. I'm not having that conversation for this topic. What I'm trying to help you all understand is that when you look at greatness through the lens of combative comparison or combative comparisons, not comparisons to say that, ooh, you're in the realm. Good for you. Not in comparisons in the realm of you've successfully accomplished something to put you over somebody. Congratulations. You reached a level of greatness that few people have. Not that type of comparison when you are appreciating what goes on. But combative comparison is when you are actively using comparative means to try to demean, stifle, and mitigate what somebody's greatness actually is. Not in the vein of to hold them to a level of standard, but in a vein of to hold them back instead of propping them where they aptly should be. That's where the problem lies. You can have your opinions about who's the GOAT. You can have your opinions about all-time greatness. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is if you use greatness to try to hold somebody down as an aggressive and combative way. Not as a means just to say, yo, this brother's good. Is he at this level? Okay, he could be or could not be. Or he is, or he isn't. But my gosh, if he keeps trucking, he can get there. But at some point, it goes from that to like you're trying to hold on to something. You're not trying to protect the integrity of the game. You're not trying to keep the standard of what greatness is for the sport to keep everybody in line with the true gold bar, the brass ring that you're supposed to reach. It's not like that. It's not like what I talk about when we talk about greatness in boxing. It's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. It's completely opposite. It is done not to help keep consistency. It is done to the point that it skews consistency. It's done to the point that no longer is the standard that you had for why Jordan was great. Now that standard is no longer applicable to others, though they have gotten to that same threshold or similar threshold. Now the goalpost gets moved in an unfair way to where it's like that doesn't make any sense. It legitimately is just a reason to hold somebody back, whether it's LeBron or anybody else. Doesn't matter who. Again, this isn't a LeBron topic. This is a basketball topic. This is a sport-wide issue. This is a media-wide problem that helps affect you, the fans, in your perception of what this sport's supposed to be. And that's where stuff gets. There's no other sport where we've seen people diminish the greatness of others. Tom Brady is still living with us today. Just retired and got to be the GOAT of football. Understandable. He's in that, or at least he's in that same conversation with him, Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, and others who have paved the way for the sport. Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, all of them. Walter Payton, he's at least in that conversation. Dan Marino, as a quarterback, he's People say he's the greatest. No problem. Completely earned that right. But when Mahomes came along, immediately after the first championship, with what he had also shown throughout his entire career up until that point, it was like, yo, we're witnessing something special. Wait a minute. And immediately he got put on a pedestal that he aptly deserved. And he never got brought down by you're not the greatness of Brady. It was only, yo, brother, this is something we ain't never seen before. And every comparison to Tom Brady was never done to tear down Mahomes. It was saying, Mahomes, you're on this track to greatness. Let's see what you can do. It was never in a negative context. It was always in a positive framework, or to shift, or because his own greatness elevated, now we have to take another look back at what we're witnessing. That's what we're talking about. And so, and even then, Stephen A. and others tried to put that same type of spin on Welch Mahomes. He just lost to the Eagles. He just got trounced by the Eagles. He'll never be Tom Brady at all. He's trying to apply the same logic that he uses for Michael Jordan to the likes of Tom Brady. You can't do that. It shouldn't have been that type of logic for Michael Jordan in the first place. It shouldn't have. And for Tom Brady, he's not even trying to say that Mahomes will never catch me. He's not doing that. No other analyst is doing that. Stephen A. and others hold past greats at a standard and then use that standard to try to push other greats down and limit what you can be, instead of leaving them to be able to be what they can be and then properly assessing them when comparing them to greatness, but not doing it in a demonstrative way, but in a edifying way. There are two ways to do it, and every time it's always the wrong one. When it comes to Michael Jordan and anybody who chooses to be great in this era of basketball, they're trying to do the same thing with football, and I hope that never happens. I hope that never happens. I hope and pray that never happens. But this is the problem. It's not a LeBron topic. It's not a Jordan topic. This is a sport issue. It's really bad in basketball. But on the whole, it can leak out. And it can be a mad problem. It can be a mad, very, very bad problem. I think that there's bias depending on which generation we grew up in. For instance, I still think Reggie Miller is greater than Steph Curry. And hey, you grew up in the era, I fully understand. Now, I think that's wrong. But regardless of which, whoever you like, you can compare the two without trying to mitigate the greatness of it. You can still think that Reggie Miller is better than Steph Curry. However, you cannot deny, you can have that sentiment and still understand the ludicrous level of greatness that Steph has done in his career. When it comes time to actually compare, is Reggie Miller better or worse than Steph? You can have that conversation, sure. Absolutely. But you can still do it in a way that doesn't diminish the legacies of each person. They're both great. Somebody did more and somebody was better. I think Steph is better than Reggie Miller. I think the championships coupled with his individual talent, winning MVPs, having one of the greatest offensive seasons on multiple occasions, carrying that 2021 final squad post Curry or post KD, and still winning a title against the Boston Celtics. Brother reached a new level of greatness. In my opinion, him and Magic Johnson fighting for 1 and 2. And it's getting really hard for me to say that Magic is the best point guard with what Steph is accomplishing. But I'm not diminishing Magic, nor am I diminishing Steph if I got Magic above him. It's not about who you have. It's about how you value each person. You can have your bias. You can have your favorites. But you You cannot use that as a means to just completely degrade what the others are indeed doing. You can't. Indeed, you can't. You just cannot. It is not possible that you can say that you are indeed a pundit, an expert, a real fan of what the sport has to offer, and then you opt to do the very thing that makes sports incredibly bad, which is, again, combative comparison. It is a problem. It's a major problem. You can't believe it. Again, I think there's a pretty sound argument. Yeah. Right now we're talking about Curry as a top 10 player potentially in history. Do I have him in my top 10? No. But it ain't like he ain't close. It's more than just changing the game. It's his individual production. On top of a level of consistent greatness that we have not seen done in this way before. That made not just the league change to him, but individually, he is still unstoppable to this day. And has been able to separate himself consistently from the rest of the pack of his current NBA peers for over a decade plus. It's like, yeah, I think it is well in my reason to have Steph above Reggie Miller and have him in that top 10. Again, there's no disrespect to Reggie Miller. It's just, yeah. I thought you said Curry might be greater than Magic. I did. I said right now, it's him and Magic are the two best point guards in history in my estimation. In my current estimation. And then with that championship in 2021, as well as what we've seen him do for the whole of his career, and even right now, it's getting real tough for me to put Magic at one anymore. Not because Magic ain't great, but this is like as much of a game changer as Magic was as a passer. Steph Curry is that same game changer as a shooter. Regardless of who you value as more, as greater or not, that is undeniable. That is irrefutable. As much as Magic changed the game from the standpoint of being a big passing guard, a big guard period, and a passing guard, making that Showtime Lakers work, having the ability to be able to play at center from the PG position, being one of the greatest players that we've seen in basketball history, defining an era with him and Bird. I would have loved to see Magic in his prime with this squad against Jordan in its prime, instead of Jordan playing against a Magic without Kareem and a Magic that's getting ready to get out of here from the standpoint of the NBA world. I would have loved to see that. But regardless of which, the greatness of Magic is undeniable. You can argue he's still one of the top 10 players in history today. Many people haven't been on that list today, and justifiably so. Oh, he was a spectacular player. I just feel that with Steph, he is right there with him. I think he's right there with him. Both of them dominated the game in two different ways. I'm not comparing how their play styles were. They're vastly different. But my gosh, it's like, I haven't seen somebody beyond just the shooting, the full offensive array that Steph has at his disposal. Because both of them weren't great defensively. Magic and Steph. Both of them weren't great defensively. But the full offensive array that they have is both incredible. But Steph, it has reached a different tier. On top of what he has been able to do off ball, his IQ for the game, his gravity and what he can do with said gravity, his ability to still be a great passer. And then once he sees one go in, he can go from shooting, 1 for 8 to ending the game with 35. And to be so demonstrative, he in and of itself is a momentum shift. I have never seen a concept where somebody is momentum shift as a concept versus as a person are two different standpoints of greatness. LeBron has reached that level of greatness where he as by himself is a momentum shift. Jordan is a momentum shift. Jokic right now is getting up to that standpoint where by himself he's a momentum shift. He is the concept. Not he can play in the concept. He is the concept of momentum. Steph is that same thing. And I'm not saying that Magic isn't, but to this degree, it's tough. Boy, it's tough. It is tough. I can't excuse what I'm witnessing and at least not have an argument. At worst, Steph's second best. For me, Steph and Magic are tied. And at best, Steph's above. And Magic's that too. Again, for my personal thing. But this is, again, anybody can have their own list. And you can have exactly your opinion. No question about it. Nobody is allowed to play defense, real defense anymore. Rodman would not have survived. Rodman would have still survived in today's defensive world. He would just be another version of Draymond Green. A lot of texts, a lot of off-court problems, defensively a monster, offensively even worse than what we see with Draymond Green. Oh, he could have played today. He could have. It just would have been, again, a more stringent role. But as a defender, especially young Dennis, oh gosh, young Dennis could play today. He'd just be a dominant defensive player and an instigator and getting texts, getting thrown out of games. He'll probably have to shape up and not just go on a whim and leave the team outright without saying a word. Going to party with, what was it, Carmen Electra, and then coming back up, okay, I'm ready for game 3 of the finals. Now, he wouldn't be able to do that, but he would be able to play. He would still be able to play. But defensively, the rules are different. People can still play defense. Kawhi is still a phenomenal defender. We've seen what the Lakers are doing right now when it comes to being a sound defensive squad. What the Cavs are doing right now is a sound defensive squad. What the Celtics are able to do as a defensive squad. Physicality is different. Defensive concepts and execution are better today than they were yesterday. But individual defense could still be better today if the refereeing, if the officiating was a lot more fair. Because that's really what it comes down to. It's not even that today's people can't play with the intensity of the past. The officiating changes what can be done. It's like with big men. Big men, the game changed when they implemented the 3-second rule. The game changed with the restricted area. The game changed with charging, blocking fouls, all this stuff. The game changed. Defense, even in the past, you couldn't play a zone. It was either man up or double team and nothing else. One-on-one against Michael Jordan was your only option. Or you double team Michael Jordan with Scottie Pippen. That was your only option of defense. If it was anything else, it was illegal. So defense is better today. Physicality is not the same today. There is a difference. There is a difference. There is a difference. You have to understand, there is a difference. And if officiating was a lot more lenient, like we see in playoff basketball, on the whole, then we could see a lot more physicality and be able to be a lot more, hey, okay, this is similar to what we saw in the early 2000s with NBA basketball, with defense. When you got to a lot more contact, a lot more bumping with rules that don't let you just swing people all around the ring, all around the court. But, hey, as the game evolves, and if the refs change it accordingly, we could see what we need to see from this world of basketball. But either way, regardless of which, we got to get out of here because it's been a phenomenal show. But we got to go. Got to leave and get out of here. So with all that being said, this has been another episode of The Welch with me, your host, Jean-Lucas. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. Yes, indeed, we've had ourselves 400 people come through on the live. Had a high of about, 20 at one point. Phenomenal conversation, phenomenal talking points throughout the night, throughout the day, going through and dissecting the world of sports and beyond with basketball, with boxing, and even more. Again, we didn't even get to cover the likes of Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Barboza, and so much more as their fights are happening. In May. Press conferences and everything going through. We still have a lot more to discuss, a lot more topics to talk about. We got so much more to cover. And I can't wait for next week because with this new format, with this new layout, it's going to be phenomenal. But I thank you so much for tuning in. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. Oh, we are out of here. Yes, sir. We gone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We had a blast. We had a lot of fun. Please leave a like on the stream before you leave. Tell me what you feel about the layout, how you feel about what we got going on. Again, we're trying to keep this under an hour 30. We don't want to go 3 hours. I don't know how we keep doing this, but it's because we're having such a great conversation. But regardless of which, how do you feel about the layout? What you want to change? What you want to add? I'll take your input. If we can apply it, I'll apply it. But my gosh, this is wonderful. We doing something great. We doing something phenomenal. Let's see. Come through with the weekly steel chair. Shoot, I might have to bring one, to be perfectly honest. I may just. Oh, shoot. You may actually, that gives me an idea. I'm not going to give it to you. That gives me an idea. I might just have to bring something out next time around when it comes to this very steel chair situation. With regards to which, what we got number? We talk wrestling. And again, we do talk wrestling. We do. Wrestling, sports, basketball, boxing. We're a multifaceted affair. We love it. Trust and believe. We're going to be growing more and more and more. And we'll get more people to be invested. We're going to build it. It's becoming mainstream. We're going to get people to love it. Absolutely. But again, we'll talk about more wrestling. We got SmackDown coming next week. Coming tomorrow. Potentially with ramifications, what we're going to see with Cody Rhodes and so much more. We got that and more stuff to cover in the sports world, but we got to get out of here. We got to go. I appreciate you all tuning in. Leave a like on the stream before you leave. Share this show with everybody that you can to get this empire growing and moving, to help everybody be able to see the hottest show in all the globe right here on the Welch Report. Listen to us on your podcasting platform. Rate us 5 stars. Appreciate you all so much. We will be back next week, and trust and believe we got more to cover, and there will be nothing to miss, only to gain on this show. Appreciate you so much. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Have your fun, and we will be back next week.